and I'm proud to have appointed the first woman as a service chief in the history of this country. Clap for that.
It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Donald Trump.
Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke turns to shit.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Booster now hovering as it aligns with the tower for catch.
Booster coming in.
As I fight through the battle with the party of death, I take a look at our right and realize they're barely left.
Can we get serious now?
Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to put your head down and fight, fight, fight. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Because this moment is your moment, it belongs to you. America has always been the land of dreams because America is a nation of true believers. And it's why we proudly proclaim that we are one nation under God. The story of America is the story of an adventure that began with deep faith, big dreams, and humble beginnings. And we are going to make our country great again.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's Sunday, September 21st, 2025, in the year of our Lord. I hope you're all doing well. I think it's great that we're here to get together to share this day. I can't tell you how good it feels to see all of you here. Old friends, new friends. We've almost been doing this for 2 years. Hey, Ginger Ninja, a very good friend of mine that I met at a Nerderotic meetup for the first time. I hope you're doing well and your family is blessed. SD Zero, Sunflower, Tiffany Sanchez, Monkey Jeebus, Sander Hammerslag, all of you, Davina, Jill Powers. God bless you all. Giggity. Always good to see you. Some of our guests are going to be here a little later, but before they get there, it's like when we come together on Slayer Nation, it's always, to go through Hollywood news or culture news, how it's been corrupted, what we're going to do to fight back. We talk sometimes about politics and everything that we have to do to fight for our freedom, whether in the States or across the pond in my beloved United Kingdom or in Greece. But today we're coming together to mourn a man, to honor his legacy. And I got to tell you, it's been 12 days since Charlie Kirk was killed. And I still feel like I'm having to catch my breath. I'm understanding why it has affected me so much, but I'll share with you. I've mourned twice in my life that nearly broke me. One was with my grandfather. And I've talked about him before. My papu, he was like my king, my Superman. Always. And when he passed away, it's like I felt the oxygen get sucked out of my lungs. It's like you carry a weight on your back and in your chest. It was almost broke me. And then my grandmother passed. Not only did I love her, I mean, her stories are what kept me going when I was 7 during my kidnapping, but she was also my link to him. So it's like when she passed, it was like the finale for him. But I looked back, and while I was rewatching a lot of Charlie Kirk's videos, I'm like, nope, they're still here. It's like I can still hear my grandmother, her words in my ear, like, go right, not left, go straight. And I go, what about an obstacle? Yeah, she's like, you go through it, you go under it, you go over it, you go to the side. But whatever you do, you never destroy your character. You always keep it intact. Make it like concrete and iron. Never betray it. It's the one thing you own in this life. Nobody can take it from you. Money, you can lose it. Cars, jewelry, stolen. Relationships can be broken. Your character is the only thing you own. Pauper, beggar, billionaire, doesn't matter. It's yours to hold on to forever or to give it away. So when we come together today, it's to mourn a man, to honor his legacy, because America's in pain. And that pain has a name. It's Charlie Kirk. But we bow our heads today, not in defeat, but in grief and in gratitude for what Charlie stood for what he believed in gratitude that you had one man who loved his God, country, his family, his faith, and freedom more than his life itself. So it's undeniable. Charlie Kirk has changed the world forever. There is no going back. Doesn't matter how you cut it. On September 9th, the world was run by Hollywood, pickpocket politicians from DC, and shadowy special interest groups. But on September 10th, the day that Charlie Kirk was publicly executed, right after that, the world is now run by you. It's in your hands. Make the best of it. Don't waste this moment. Go out. Be your best self. Live your best life. Honor your faith, honor your family, honor your friends, honor your neighbor, honor your word, honor your character. Go make the world better. See, that's something that the media doesn't understand. They don't understand why Charlie Kirk's death has impacted millions around the world. They just don't get it. Instead, you got Hollywood has-beens and celebrities from Beverly Hills who are trying to score internet clout for outrage mobs. They have the mainstream media, the primetime puppets, the anchors, the so-called journalists and reporters. They cheer that a great voice has been silenced, but that's because they don't understand, see? They don't have the ears to hear, because if you listen closely, you can hear that Charlie's voice hasn't been silenced. It's not gone. As a matter of fact, it's been set free. It has multiplied in millions around the world to every corner of this earth. I watched miracle after miracle this week take place. from Philadelphia to Portugal and Spain. I saw thousands come out. They shed their tears. They shared their pain. And they said with one voice, "We are Charlie Kirk." I saw it in Paris. I saw it in Germany as people stood in front of the American embassy and they said, "We are Charlie Kirk." In South Korea, students stood on the sidewalk, on trash cans, on car roofs. They held Charlie signs up and they said, "We are Charlie Kirk." In the Polish parliament, they took a moment of silence. They held a 10-minute prayer vigil and they said, "We mourn you, we miss you, we are Charlie Kirk." In New Zealand, in Australia, and in the United Kingdom, Tommy Robinson had organized a march for months. And in London, millions showed up for faith, for family, for freedom, to fight to free Great Britain from its shackles. And in one voice, they took the time so we could hear them all across the world saying, "We are Charlie Kirk." That's really the miracle. Charlie lives. See, that's what the media doesn't understand. That is what they will never get. Charlie lives. His voice right now lives inside of every man that chooses to stand instead of kneel. He lives inside of every woman who embraces freedom over fear. He lives inside of every single citizen who draws a line in the sand and says, "Dare you. I will not bend. I will not break. I will not be bowed. We will not be silenced because we are Charlie Kirk and we ain't going anywhere." Now, we're watching a lot of Charlie Kirk videos. I've seen some of his speeches again and again. Man had a lot of wisdom. And he shared some of his secrets in life. And one of them that kind of like caught me like in its grip was that if one man has God in his heart and he's armed with truth, he is a one-man majority against any outrage mob. And he is unbeatable. Charlie lives because ideas cannot be killed. They will shine brighter than the sun and outlast the stars. So today we come together to mourn a man, to honor a man, to remember a martyr, but not to bury his legacy. We're going to plant it instead. And from it is going to come a mighty forest of patriots who will not be able to be cut down by any tyrant, leftist troglodyte, or terrible action. This isn't the end. It is the beginning, because today Charlie Kirk is you, is me. He's in all of us. Because now we're Charlie Kirk and we're just getting started. This is what I've been thinking about for the past few days. It's just the man. It's like he wasn't a politician, wasn't a soldier in battle. He was fighting a war, one from good versus evil, but he's gone. But he isn't. You know, Erica Kirk, when she spoke a few days ago, she said, "Evildoers do not know what they have done. They have no clue." This is the moment we stand up. So today we're going to honor him. We're going to remember his memory, and we're going to come together. We're going to share our grief. We're going to mourn him, and we're going to be together. So I hope I haven't kept too many people waiting. I'm going to bring out Verbal Riot and my very good friend Ron Coleman. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Hey, what's going on?
How are you doing?
Good.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Sorry if I kept y'all waiting. I have had something to get off my chest for a while.
Yeah, we wouldn't let you, so it's a good thing you kept us back.
How are y'all gentlemen doing today?
I'm doing fine. I just I was talking about this on my show Thursday, man. I just don't know where we go from here, right? Like, I'm fine. I feel for, Charlie's widow and the kids and everything. I feel bad for the people who knew him personally and everything. But I just feel like right now, this country's in a weird place, man. And it's to the point where I think it's going beyond anxious. Now it's like the next couple of moves, the next couple of things can tip the scale pretty badly. And I'm kind of wondering where we're going from this point. as a country. You know what I mean? The whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, I think. Well, no, and the only reason I bring that up is because
no, I agree with you.
I bring it up because the left is losing opportunities to show their humanity.
They are.
Right? They're losing opportunities, and they are constantly trying to one up. Right? They're trying to compare Jimmy Kimmel's firing to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated.
I know that again, that every time I think they can't go lower, they just keep on digging.
And that's why I'm asking, where do we go from here? Because it's getting to the point where there's not going to be any more conversations, right? Which is what Charlie was trying to do.
Right. He said
we're getting to the point where there's not going to be any more conversations. There's not going to be any more debate. And I really wish that the left would understand that they're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, they've lost. This is why
ultimately they're fighting a losing battle, and they don't even realize it, man. And you would think one of them would just wise up and say, you know what, guys, maybe we're doing this wrong. But they're not doing that. You have your fucking idiots out here like Mark Ruffalo and all these other celebrities crying over Jimmy Kimmel and the injustice of this hack comedian getting fired because his ratings were shit. Right? And they're comparing that to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. I think there's going to be a revelation coming, and I think that
a revelation. Like, what do you mean revelation? A revelation to them? A revelation to?
No, for them. I think there's going to be a revelation for them at some point where they realize we could have stopped this. Right? We could have done something. We could have tried to meet a little bit more in the middle.
How about just be human?
Or
just
that
decency. Like, if you have nothing nice to say, nothing kind to say, don't say it at all. But I think this is a deeper battle. I agree with part of what you're saying. I think this is something that no one wants to do. No one, I think, wants to really admit. Not many people do. So many want to go, okay, let's forgive, forget, hug it out, and move forward. I think this we are in a war. You want to call it a spiritual war between good and evil? I believe that. You want to call it a war between right and wrong, between communism and freedom? I believe that too. And I think this is a war we have to win. Charlie wanted to win that war with words, to convince people. Let's have a debate. Let's have a dialogue. Let's have a conversation. Let's open it up. He's like, what did he say? As long as you keep talking, you have progress. When you stop talking, you have violence. Oh, I think we just got Gothics here. Hi, Gothic.
Hey, Gothics. But my thing about this, man, is honestly, and I'm known for my tinfoil hats. There is something so much bigger at play here, like so much bigger than just left versus right, man. We're seeing it across the pond, right? We're seeing things happen in the UK where people are getting arrested for
speech,
posting, and I think we're getting played in a very big way, and I don't know who the puppet masters are right now at this point.
But how about just good versus evil?
It's not just that simple, George. I think
we're getting things are like that. I do believe. I know what you're saying.
No, there is good versus evil, but we are getting played by a higher power.
Right.
I don't mean God. I'm talking about people in power. We're getting right. There was somebody pitting us against each other.
There are, but I would say, I don't know if Gothics would agree, but would you say, like, at the base of this, like, if we cut through everything, whoever the puppet masters are, whether they're globalists or communists or champagne socialist billionaires, at the root of it is good versus evil, no? A spiritual war.
Yeah, at the root of it, that's exactly what it is. Like, as Verbal Riot said, like, there is a higher power in, like, the secular perspective. You got deep state, elitists. I could tell you the playbook of what's happening. People would think I'm an Alex Jones, the black version. So I'm not going to go down that route. But these people are also being influenced by an unseen power. Sure. And that's the thing that I think that a lot of people don't want to accept, is that we are trying to fix a spiritual issue with worldly solutions, and it doesn't work. And it drives me crazy that I talk to people, and the same people who would condemn what happened to Charlie Kirk are the same people who still think it's rational to live in a society with moral relativism. Because if that's the case, then what happened to Charlie really isn't that bad. It's just your opinion. So unless people want to accept that, us complaining about what happened. Literally, I hate to say this, but there is no this train, there's no stopping this train. Okay. Yeah. Like voting isn't going to fix this train. These people are playing with different rules. They don't care about the Constitution. Okay. They don't care about law. Clearly they don't. Murder is already illegal as far as I remember. Okay. So you're not going to be able to fix it the way that we've been fixing it. I think people need to come to terms with that we've been doing it the wrong way.
I agree. Gina Carano even said it in her interview with Sean Ryan when he was asking her as part of her journey in Hollywood. And I could tell if you watch that 3-hour interview, there's a part where she starts biting her tongue, like she starts sharing it and then she pulls back. Mm-hmm. She's like, there's a lot of people who give themselves, she said, to darkness, she said, to demonic things. And then she stopped, she starts. Mm-hmm. She's like, I could talk, and then she just kind of.
Because it sounds woo-woo. Like, yeah. It sounds like, what the hell are you talking about? Demons, deep state, that doesn't make any sense. Right. But like, if and this is something that I have realized after I had my political awakening in 2020, is that simply looking at it as left versus right, communism versus capitalism is overcomplicating something that really shouldn't be overcomplicated. If you look at something and just say, okay, what is objectively good? What is objectively true? And then from there, you can compare it to what's happening. You can see that it's bigger than just like, who are you voting for? What's your political ideology?
I mean, you could see
we also have to remember that these people don't believe in God.
Yeah, but they believe in something. They believe in themselves.
That is their God.
That is their God. They don't believe in a God. And
their
that's
God
already
is power.
Yes, power. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's already the problem right there, is that they don't believe.
Yeah.
Right. But they're worshiping themselves, and there was somebody else who worshiped himself and wanted to be worshiped. I mean, think about it. I cannot recall the last time that I saw human beings celebrating, dancing, cheering the murder of another human being.
Well, I can. Luigi Mangione.
Yeah, I thought those were kooks, but they weren't sitting here popping out every day. Like I saw that student from Texas Tech. Then I saw the Arkansas student who was smashing up prayer vigils, candles, just breaking them, tearing up signs. And I'm like, okay, why don't you take a second? Check yourself. But they feel, when you go look at Antifa or Trantifa and you look at each one of these groups, they are thrilled. A couple of them are like, hey guys, if you read their sites and you read Andy No's posts, he's like, some of them are afraid now. They're like, we have to reorganize, we have to re-strategize. But come on, what type of person is that who cheers?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could have seen this coming for a while, because it's like the Overton window, where you have to slowly incrementally shift public perception. You can't go from 0 to 100, because then people are going to notice. It's like boiling the frog analogy. So like during COVID, as embarrassing it is to say, when I was a leftist, I was one of those people that was like, listen, if you don't want to listen to the government and you don't want to take this vaccine, you deserve to die. You deserve to lose your medical care. I was one of those people. And even beyond that, in the Black community, I say this loosely, whenever someone would hear N-word with a hard R, what was the general response? I want to assault this person over a word. And so now you got these people who are trying to justify Charlie Kirk's death because they equate words as violence. So they've already made up their mind that these people are worthy of death anyway.
Well, I didn't introduce you, Ron. This is Gothics. Ron Gothics. Yeah. Ron is an incredible, one of the top constitutional attorneys in the country. Brilliant mind, wonderful human being.
Is he muted?
Oh. No.
No, I'm not. I'm just stage whispering. I'm not one of those. I'm good at what I do, but I'm
gonna always praise you. I'm a layman. I can praise you.
You're gracious.
No, it's like the Jimmy Kimmel thing. We were talking about it right before you came. They're trying. It's like, on one hand, I view mainstream media, leftist Hollywood. It's like, are they trying to cover their stink, or do they really believe that Jimmy Kimmel can be elevated to a height to be their Charlie Kirk? He was fired. The other person was killed.
Who is actually? I mean, did people really say that, or did they almost say that?
No, you had Mark Ruffalo who had hinted at it.
Yeah, he's a brain damage.
Chris
I mean,
Hay.
and anyone that remotely serious. I mean, like that's low hanging fruit. You don't need to go online to talk about what an absolute ball-peen brain that guy is. All right,
It's a good way to put it. You also had sorry, you had
anyone
Matthew Dowd.
in the commentariat. You know, any
Serious person.
I mean, you know, it is kind of just been a blur. So I might have seen it and missed it.
I'll share one with you. Hold on. Where is it?
It's not. Look, a lot of them are smart enough to not directly try to compare it. Like they're not vocally saying it, but what they're doing is they're flooding the news with Jimmy Kimmel.
That's right.
To make him this martyr of free speech, when again, in reality, he is just a hack who had terrible ratings, who they want to get rid of anyway.
Right. But you also have people like Matthew Dowd came out after he was fired, which was the oddest thing because everybody was talking about Jimmy Kimmel. This is just a side note. And Matthew Dowd comes out 2 days ago and he's like, I don't understand it. Nobody's talking about me. I was fired. And I'm like, we're talking about a man was murdered, publicly executed. He has been ripped from his children. And you're talking about you didn't get enough coverage versus Jimmy Kimmel. It's like stuff like that. It's like, come on, get with it, guy. That's what I mean is there's this lack of humanity, of just human decency.
Well, and that was Verbal's point, is that we're dealing with a morally hollowed out country. It might not be the majority. It might not even be the majority of liberals, but it's enough of them and enough of the influential spokespeople or representatives or just people who are influential in all kinds of ways who are unashamed. Here's the thing, it might not be the majority, but if the majority of liberals, Democrats, felt the way we do, which is that's a disgusting thing to say. That's a disgusting comparison to make. That's a morally outrageous thing to utter. They wouldn't utter it.
Right.
And they do utter it because they're confident that the overall mentality of our enemies are worthy of death. This Leninist, Maoist, nihilist approach, our enemies are worthy of death, is tolerated at the very least by a very substantial percentage. Now, one thing that is different, one thing that has changed, is that people are getting fired right and left because they're so deep within their own silo that they didn't realize they were beginning to and had actually crossed a line. They're beginning to cross a line, and they crossed that line because they stopped listening to other people. That was considered to be tolerating, as Gothics put it, violence. You're tolerating violence by allowing Charlie Kirk or Ron Coleman or George express their opinions that metaphysically are violence. The problem is there are still institutions in America that cannot tolerate, for the purpose of their survival, celebration of murder. That's actually still a line that crosses in not only morally but legally. Once you start tolerating people who celebrate murder, you've got a lot of problems, not just because more moderate, much less conservative customers, employees, board members, shareholders are gonna sit up and notice that this is different and you seem to have not noticed the difference. They're going to also realize we're putting ourselves in some degree of potential legal risk. And that's where the money comes. And that's where they won't tolerate.
But they showed this already during COVID. They showed they don't care if people live or die, right? They said if you don't get the shot, you deserve to die.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well, we had
they've
Jimmy Kimmel did
already
that.
displayed this.
Jimmy Kimmel did that. Let me bring Steph is joining us now. Hi, Steph.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Of course. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm going to be
No
off
problem.
camera just for a little bit.
No problem. You know everyone? You met Gothics?
I know God. I'm not sure if I've been on a stream. Maybe on Chrissy Meyer's stream. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think about the situation? Do you agreeing with Verbal and Gothics, what they were saying, and Ron? About the point that we're in?
Yeah. The whole Jimmy
No
Kimmel
one who
situation.
disagrees with us, by the way, of course she agrees with you, because no one who disagrees will ever come on a show like this.
I actually wish they would. I've asked
I know.
the
I
other
can't-
side
I
to
can't
come on
get
before
there.
because I would like
Can't
to.
let the center guests.
Because you know what? I think that's a good point. I want to be able to do that. I just haven't been able to find him. I loved what Charlie did, but he would debate with anybody. He had dialogue with anyone. I'm open to that. It's just I haven't been able to find many people who are willing to do that. Because I think that would be a great way to honor his memory, is to continue that type of dialogue, that conversation.
The problem is that most people don't on the left don't want dialogue because their dialogue is, based in slogans, and ours is based in fact. And so like their narrative breaks down pretty quickly. That's why they start screaming when their points don't come across, or they get stuck and mentally, and then they just start screaming and going on the attack, and then they'll walk away. But the Jimmy Kimmel situation is interesting because I see all of these like celebrities speaking out about it, and a lot of them start off with like, our free speech is under attack, or something along those lines, and none of them said anything when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That's when they should have been like, we're under attack. Like, our free speech is under attack. You can't voice your opinions without being murdered. That's when they should have said something. Not with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel was suspended. He's suspended. Like, he's in talks right now with what to do. And all of this is his fault as well. He refuses to apologize.
And
so
to make the donation.
It's basically on his shoulders. It is not even comparable to Charlie Kirk, and for them to put up Jimmy Kimmel as some sort of martyr of free speech is utterly and completely ridiculous. And I think that the amount of people showing up to honor and memorialize Charlie Kirk, who died, and you compare that to the amount of protesting, amount of people going and showing up for Jimmy Kimmel, there's no comparison. He's a celebrity elitist. He's a millionaire who still gets to go back to his mansion, back to his children, and he wasn't, he didn't die speaking his mind. He was suspended from a show that was already on
air, on fumes. No, you're absolutely right. That's why I said I will, and I'll say this again, I will talk to anyone anywhere. I don't care what your beliefs are, because I do believe that stubbornly, even though I may be wrong, I still believe that we can try to reach people. I have not always been able to get through with fact, but I have faith that the conversation and dialogue can break open some doors. Not everyone, especially. I hope that really that President Trump carries his mission forward in many ways and goes after Antifa. I think they need to go. I've seen how violent they are, and when you look at the messages that the monster had on, it's like, come on. We've reached a point where this is a war. We have to win the war. Spiritual war, we have to win the physical war. We have to win this. Can't keep this going.
So putting that in the context of what Verbal started out saying, which is that, we're really fundamentally in a bad place. Like, this is not just a linear change. This isn't just a matter of reeling back to different spot on the dial. We're talking about really having to rebuild our moral order. If the government doesn't follow through with Antifa, that won't happen. That is one of the things that has to happen, because they've been tolerated for a very, very long time. They are the brown shirts of the Democrat Party. I saw that over the weekend. That was a very good way of putting it. They are funded not only by George Soros and friends, but by clearly money was flowing from USAID, meaning from George and Verbal and Steph and Gothics and Ron. Money was flowing from USAID to Antifa, and that's got to be broken.
100%. Let's check in real quick. I want to check in to see how the memorial's going and show everyone. It's a good time because that's what we were here for. Let's see where they're at. I think it's a powerful testament to not only his life, but to his message. You know, like I was saying in the beginning, they tried to silence him, but in many ways, Gothics, when you see, like, they set his voice free. And that sounds odd, but, you know, it's now going everywhere. Bigger than before. It's amazing. It's just, it really shook me. Sorry.
I think it's a testament to leftism, is they don't think about the long-term consequences. They're so fixated on immediate gratification that they don't think their ideas through.
Right.
No, it's like I keep hearing, I really don't know what their politics were, but I would guess they were on the left or anarchists, whatever you want to call it, basically for chaos and evil. And they were like, Charlie Kirk spread hate. And I'm like, see right there, that crowd? There is no way a crowd like that in 2025, because we have the internet, quick access to information, it does not come together through hate. That is only through the power of love. There is no other way. Power of love and hope. This isn't 1940s where you're going to have some mustachioed midget bring everybody together in hate, because it's easily spotted. We see the haters around us, Antifa, Trantifa, the Democratic Party, leftists, celebrities. They come together in small groups. They might hold the microphones at sometimes, but to get this type, to get this group like this together, come on. To me, that's a testament to light, to love. Look at that.
If I could add also, I don't think, I mentioned this to my husband the other day, I don't think the left loves each other. You know, like I think that their whole, even though they preach about love and tolerance and diversity and inclusion, what they really mean by that is, you must agree with me. So you could honestly say that leftists love themselves. And if they don't see themselves in the other person and they don't love you, they hate you.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's why it's so easy for them to turn on each other. Like they eat their own so easily, because they don't I don't think that they really believe in the things that they do. I think that they're just a hive mind, and if one person steps out of line, you have to extract them from the group.
Yeah, 100%. I think they love the feeling of feeling as though they're doing something. So I would argue they actually like the self pat on the back to say, look at me, I'm a good person. You know, like I saw this clip of my friend Savannah. She does a lot of like these man on the street interviews, talking to people about, you know, abortion, you know, hot topic.
Oh, Savannah.
Issues.
Oh, Savannah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Savannah Craven.
She's brilliant.
Okay, and so this crazy lady stole her sign, all right, ran away. She chased after the lady, and then she basically says, the woman says something about, oh, she's going to recycle it. And Savannah's like, oh, you're such a good human. So you like recycling, but you like advocating for baby murder. Like that doesn't make sense.
It's crazy.
No, I think they do like having or what they perceive as the moral high ground. They have a superiority complex, and they think that they are correct in every stance that they're taking, when they're not. They're not.
And hold on one second. Baggage claim is here. Let her join us first. Hi, Hi, baggage. Oh, you have now your name up. Okay, it's Manisha. I was like, whoop, do I say it? Okay. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us.
It's so good to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we hear you.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'm sorry for running a little late. Was listening to all of you speak in the background, and I do think it's going to be one of those days that we're going to look back on for many years to come.
I agree. Let's hear what they're saying. 1 second. I'm going to turn it on. I saw people waving.
I feel so bad for his wife.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
How can you not? How can you? Did you listen to what she said the other day? I mean, it's like she was looking at his chair and you could tell she was heartbroken. Then you have some schmuck who's like, oh, is that overacting? I'm like, what? Dude, zip it.
What's insane is that I've been spending a lot of time on TikTok just because I want to see, the reactions to a lot of things. And unfortunately, the algorithm is pretty aggressive over on TikTok.
Okay.
So if you spend just the tiniest bit of time on the leftist side of TikTok, it recommends a whole lot of videos to you from, leftist creators. So there was actually a woman on TikTok who was analyzing the speech that she gave, and she was like, do you notice this, and do you notice this? It's all propaganda and all this thing. And I was listening to her and I'm like, that's his setup. That's how his setup has been forever. This just goes to show that you've never actually watched a single thing that Charlie Kirk has created, because she was just pointing out things in the background that have been there forever. It's just part of his set. Nothing has moved, nothing has added. The only thing that was added was the podium. And she was saying that it's all propaganda for President Trump. It's all propaganda for the conservatives. It's all propaganda for Turning Point. And the whole thing was just to get you to join Turning Point. Like that's all it was.
Wait, who
and
said
I was
this?
just laughing. It was a creator over on TikTok. But it was a large creator, but it was still a creator over on TikTok who was saying all of these things. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
How can it be propaganda, Steph? The man is dead. He was killed.
Exactly.
They killed him for propaganda.
But we're living in a world where people will shamelessly say the Israelis murdered or arranged for the murder of thousands of their own citizens in order to justify some foreign policy, some foreign policy goal, whether it's to take over Gaza, which they already had possession of and gave up, whatever it is. People, they're not about ideas. They're not about truth. They're about power. And you say whatever is necessary to obtain and retain power because you're the better, as Steph was, I think it was Steph was saying it, maybe it was Gothics. You're the better person.
Right.
You're the better person. So you are the one who should have power, and you're going to use it for everyone's benefit as you see fit.
It's funny that you mentioned
you see fit. That's interesting, right? As they see fit. That's the main thing. As they see fit, because it's not what is good for the American people. It's what they think is good for the American people.
Right, but that's enforcement. That's what they want to do. Again, whether you want to call it the left, you want to call it evil. Manisha, before you came, I was saying, Gothics and I were talking because we were all saying, like, Verbal started it. We're in a time that is a dark time. I think I'm paraphrasing you correct, Verbal. You're like, you don't know where we go from here. I view it as...
Well, no, I do know where we go from here. That's the problem, George. Here's the thing. It's literally a fork, right? We have one or two ways to go. Here, and here's what's really scary about that.
Okay.
We have two roads. One road says that the left realizes they've been crazy and they come to their senses, right? The other is
they don't.
No turning back. You get what I'm trying to say without saying it?
Yeah, I got what you're saying, but
okay. So what is more likely to happen? Is the left more likely to come to their senses?
No, obviously.
Okay, so we're headed towards one road, and it's pretty bad.
Right, because we cannot coexist. You can't have two diametrically opposed. Good and evil cannot coexist together. You can't. One wants destruction, one wants life.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that if they actually wake up to their ideology being wrong, it would completely shatter their worldview, which is why they ignore it and just push forward with whatever narrative they're running with, because they refuse to acknowledge that their entire worldview, everything that they've been fighting for, is wrong. It's morally wrong, and they don't want to shatter that illusion.
Yeah, the first thing Stalin, every dictator does whenever the communism has been achieved or socialism, is they put up against the wall all the people who helped them get there, because they know once they wake up to their reality not being the utopia that they were supposed to create, they're going to become the greatest rebels. Stalin did it. Mao did it. Castro did it.
And by the way, these aren't just like the crazies we're talking about, man. We got to realize how deep this is. Every now and then I'll pop my head into Facebook because I still have family on there. I have friends on there, who are on the left. And sometimes I just want to hear what they have to say and what they're talking about.
Right.
All of them are talking about Jimmy Kimmel. All of them.
Not Charlie Kirk.
And what an injustice it is for Jimmy Kimmel to lost his job.
And people who were talking about Jimmy Kimmel
freedom is under attack, right?
Oh my God.
None of them, like not once, mentioned Charlie Kirk. And the ones that have had nothing but bad things to say about him. So these are regular people who have regular jobs. These aren't just crazies in the media. These aren't just crazies on TikTok. These are just regular people who are thinking this way.
And the problem is that they are regular people with regular jobs who don't have the time to consume the amount of content that we do, and they're relying on mainstream media or smaller videos on Facebook or wherever. Whenever they open up their social media apps, they're relying on that for news, for news and narrative. And if the news and the narrative is all propaganda and they're saying all of these terrible things about Charlie Kirk, that's what they're going to believe. That's the narrative that they're going to be running with.
I think it's habit. I think they're habituated to going with legacy news that they grew up with brands that they trust. It's not time, because I assure you they have time. They have time. It's not a matter of volume. It's a matter of just opening up a single channel to a way of reporting on news that is not the corporate media. And the vast majority of people do not consider that. It's not even on their radar. The idea, I mean, I can't speak for you. I get virtually all my news from Twitter, from X.
Yeah.
Almost nobody my age even knows that there is information on X that they should be aware of. They are trusting. The ones who consider themselves conservatives are still trusting the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. Even if they think that there might be a little bit of bias, they have no scintilla, not the slightest thought that real facts are accessible in places that they're not used to going to.
Yeah, but Ron, people your age aren't the problem, right? It's the younger, crazier ones that are the problem, and they know better, right?
And
they do get their media from other places.
But I think that those places are silos within the same platforms that we're talking about. I mean, it's certainly not Blue Sky. Okay, they're not, because Blue Sky is a tiny little world. It's
very small. But it's not the Blue Skies. It's coming from their leaders. That's where they get the majority of the news from. That, and then there's celebrities and little cult followings. Look at what Ocasio-Crazio said the other day. Again, a man was publicly assassinated because someone disagreed with his words. And we get this.
Today, the Republican House majority brought to the floor a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's assassination was a horrific and vile attack and incident of political violence. And condemning the depravity of Kirk's brutal murder is a straightforward matter, one that is especially important to help stabilize an increasingly unsafe and volatile political environment where everyday people feel more at risk. We can deeply disagree and come together as a country to denounce the horror of this killing. And it is not a license for the abuse of power and whitewashing of American history. Today's resolution only underscores the majority's recklessness by choosing to author this condemnation and honoring on a purely partisan basis, instead of uniting Congress in this tragedy with one of the many bipartisan options to condemn political violence and Kirk's murder, as we did with the late Melissa Hortman. Instead, the majority proceeded with a resolution that brings great pain to the millions of Americans who endured segregation, Jim Crow, and the legacy of bigotry today. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake.
How many times? See, right there, she's lying about him. This has been debunked how many times they've played his videos. See, this is where they're getting their marching orders from, I believe.
But it's also, I think, I have a slightly different perspective on this.
Okay.
That I think the population is divided into, broken up by people who think because they think something because they've really thought about something and come to their mind about it. And then the rest of the people tend to be people who just sort of follow along with whatever is fashionable. Mm-hmm. And so the culture around them will sort of guide their hand on, this is the right thing to say, this is the right thing to do. So all the people who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, assassination, they did it because they are in a subculture that says that it's good to celebrate the passing of someone like this. And they're so caught in that bubble. They really do think that that was the moral thing to do. But I think what happened, I think there are going to be two massive inflection points for our culture for what's going on right now. So there are periods where a population falls asleep and stops being vigilant. There will be few people who will remind them to keep being vigilant, but the rest of the population will sort of just chug along. And I think that the two pieces for at least like this relevant time here is, one was what happened during COVID, of how quickly the government turned tyrannical and imposed, and how a small population was willing to tyrannize the rest into silence. And the technology, the social media was working against people. I mean, the impact on freedom of speech was so intense, and how many lies were sold to the public. And then the second is going to be Charlie Kirk's assassination, is that how a big chunk of the population could celebrate the passing of an incredible man, and actually a good man. What a lot of people are saying is that Charlie Kirk was the best of us. And I think that's 100% the case. Yes. Is that he was the most moral, he was the most truthful, he was the most fastidious, most courageous. And that's the person that they killed and then celebrated the killing. I think what this did is woke up the side that was willing to play fair. And I don't mean play fair in the sense of not resorting to violence or anything like that, but just saying you're entitled to your belief, and I'm going to be quiet about my belief. It woke people up, where now people are wearing their faith, their beliefs on their sleeves in the same way that Charlie Kirk has done for the last 12 years. Charlie Kirk never, even though it was not fashionable to be a Christian, let's be honest, it hasn't been. For the last 15, he never hid it. He never hid all of his beliefs. He never hid behind even his beliefs around abortion. Everything, he spoke very boldly. Mm-hmm. And watching someone take a bullet for that has now made people go, well, I agree with those things. Why am I willing to be silent when he was willing to expose himself? So I think what's coming is that 10% that sits on the left, let's say the 10% of the left that believe what they believe, and they're those extremist views, they're never going to change. they're just going to stop being in charge of the rest of having influence on the rest of the culture. That influence has broken. And now more and more people are seceding from the left and coming to the right because they're starting to see the cracks. So AOC, whatever she's saying, I think that influence was really heavy 10 years ago, but now everybody's starting to, maybe they believe for 80% of what she says, it's going to go down to 70, go down to 60, and slowly dwindle away. This, because what the game has been revealed is what the left wants more than anything is power. And the best way that they can maintain that power is to lie about everything, including who Charlie Kirk was, including why even this issue of how the Great Society programs were absolutely devastating to the very people that it was supposed to help, the African Americans. It actually devastated their culture. And this is something that Thomas Sowell talks about, and that's of course why Charlie Kirk has been so proud to talk about that as well. I think people are waking up, and it's going to become now culturally cool, culturally vogue to be on the right, to have faith, to orient yourself to the good, to orient yourself to the truth. Because what the left is offering instead is victim narratives, to hate America, to hate yourself, to hate your father, to hate your family, to hate children, to revel in hookup culture, to revel in drug abuse, to completely accept a crime of culture. What they're selling is no longer going to work because there's actually a much better vision on the right. The right has the right vision at the moment, which is orient yourself to the best version of yourself. That's what Charlie Kirk was trying to convince everybody of. So I think what we're going to see is this massive shift to the right, and then that 10%, they're going to keep talking. They're going to keep saying the same things. It's never going to go away. They're just going to age out and die. That's it. Those people will never step away from their beliefs. And there's a reason for that too, is that if you're a mother of a trans kid, and we know what the reality with trans is that there's no such thing as a trans child. There's a mother who pushed trans ideology on their child. And if you are a mother of a child that you pushed all of these drugs on, all of these, and made your entire personality, your entire life around the trans issue, are you ever going to come out and say that you were wrong? Are you?
Of course not, because you don't want to take responsibility for destroying your own kid.
And can you ever look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did something wrong? Or are you going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, and never let that viewpoint go? Doesn't matter how your child's life turns out. Doesn't matter. You will always hang on to that. So there's going to be some version of this ideology just continuing to spin out. The point is, how much attention does it get? And we see that this lives heavily on Instagram, but the views it's 1,000 views, or it'll be like 100 shares, something like that. Whereas on Twitter, when you go on Twitter, I mean, it's 14 million impressions. Tucker Carlson releases an episode, it's 100 million impressions. I mean, anything that the right says, that's where all the energy is. You know, this is becoming, the leftist view is becoming very niche now. That's what I think.
I agree with you. I think they're talking into the wind. What I want, and I think you phrased it beautifully, Manisha. They're going to be continuing to talk, the ones who still believe in it, but just less people hearing it. Because again, it's like anger. Anger and hatred are not great attractors. Love, light, I like to break things down in simple terms. They attract, they grow. If you want to put it in that old metaphorical way, they grow things. It's like, you water a plant. You don't blowtorch it. That's the left way. Let's take a blowtorch. Let's torch everything. That doesn't create, that destroys. I want to ask Gothics, because you used to be, as you've said, on the left. What if you were to kind of like project yourself, if you were talking to your same friends that were before, what do you think they would be thinking now? Are they going, oh my God, we lost, this is a turning point, or we're doubling down? Is anyone reflecting? Going, what did we do?
Absolutely not. And I know this because I check on some of my old friends.
Okay.
They're not self-reflecting at all. I think part of it is pride. The other part of it is comfort. People are used to what they know, and they don't want to accept that they have been lied to. I think a lot of people don't want to accept that. Like a lot, you know what? I'm going to give you an example. A lot of people on the left, and this is the one thing that I will agree with people on the left, is that they're pissed off that the right is comparing Charlie Kirk to MLK Jr. And I would say, well, I disagree with that because that would be an insult to Charlie Kirk, because MLK was a communist. He didn't admit that he was, but if you read his writings, he was very much in line with a lot of the stuff that BLM was espousing. And if you think about it, when has a man of God ever been accepted by the Democrat Party, unless that version of Christianity was sprinkled with Marxism, which is exactly what he stood for? So I don't think people want to accept that they have been lied to, even as far back as that. You know, it's like literally waking up from the Matrix. Like, where the hell am I living right now? And all of this is organized and orchestrated to like groom the next generations into becoming people that hate this country, hate the Constitution, you know, have accepted moral relativism. And it's sad. Like, I get it, but I think, you know, I'm a little bit of realistic, maybe pessimistic, if you will. And I don't think a lot of people are going to wake up until it smacks them in the face. And it might take, you know, something happening in their own personal lives for them to realize, oh shit, like who am I surrounding myself with? At least that's what happened to me. So yeah, no, they're not self-reflecting.
And I see you kind of made a similar point that Manisha just made, which is the fact that, yeah, it's just like a mother of a trans child. Even if she knows deep down inside that she has helped destroyed her kid, I've seen this too many times. There's just no way, because they would have to accept responsibility.
Right, it's cognitive dissonance.
I destroyed my child. I want to check real quick on the memorial because I think it is now officially starting. 1 second. 1 second. We'll get right back to it. Thank you both. Very well put.
Maybe this is a terrible comparison, but I like this a lot. But it reminds me of Wrath of Khan. You know, when Spock,
yes,
you know,
I know. I played this.
I'm saying that because I think that's pretty cool what they're doing with this.
No, what they're
like
doing. These pipers are perfect. I played pipes for 30 years, and Amazing Grace at many funerals. It's beautiful.
Really, George?
Yes, I still play the pipes, but you hear it sounds like one pipe and one tenor drum. Bad bagpipes sound like individuals. You hear it. The drones are up. This is perfect. It's done with soul and it's rhythm. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'll tell you something else about the bagpipes.
Yes.
They remind us of our country's Anglo-Saxon heritage. And I don't think anyone on this chat shares that heritage.
No, I don't. No.
But
I'm
being
proud
American,
of it. Yeah.
Being American, we do.
My God, that was a female piper.
Yeah, I noticed that.
No way. It was the school that I went to. Okay, I was raised both in the temple and in church. That's my background. So I went to church every day at school, and I went to temple on the Sabbath. The thing is our rector at my school was like, can't have women. They didn't allow women in the piping corps. They're like, because God's army one day will be led by men, and it's first come the pipers. And so it's like every time I see a female piper, there's nothing wrong. It's just like it's always a flashback. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, it's amazing. I love the pipes. I love the pipes. Beautiful. It's just it's shocking. I feel I've never been moved. I think Manisha and I talked about this on the day. I've never been moved by. I mean, as a human being, I'm moved when someone dies. You go, I feel sorry for the person's family and a human being, but I've never been moved by a stranger's death like this. Yeah, I didn't know him, but I've just been.
I went into my DMs. We exchanged a couple of DMs years ago. I wasn't really a turning point guy. But when this took place, it was so devastating in a way that I really would not have expected. If you would have ever said to me, Charlie Kirk, what does he mean to you? I would have said, guy's extremely successful at political organizing. I don't really have much to do with him. But this was so personal and so brutal and so symbolic of, as Verbal pointed out, so symbolic of the real hole in our national soul.
I feel like someone tried to stab America, if that makes sense. Our who we are, like our soul, like our heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I saw so many people like echo that. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, but what happened to him hit me on a spiritual level. Like, I've never heard him speak. I've never seen anything, but they watched the video of his assassination. And I think that you couldn't get away from that video for a couple of days unless you completely stayed off of social media. And then after they saw that, then they sort of looked into who this was, listened to some of the things that he said. And, they felt even worse because they saw that he was, a good man, a godly man. And, it sort of resonated something inside of them, and resonated with them. And I saw so many people saying that and just coming out on social media for the first time sometimes and saying like, or changing their content completely on social media and saying like, I've never talked about this. This is an art channel, or I've never talked about this. This is a different type of channel. And they will speak out about Charlie Kirk. I watched him for a while. And in my point of view, it's like someone that has been out on social media for a long time. You kind of got to watch him and Turning Point sort of grow, from a small group to, a huge movement. And to see him being assassinated like that, it affected you because this is someone that you've watched for a very long time. And I think that that's why Democrats like AOC and the things that she said, it's going to backfire on her completely because there's hours of Charlie Kirk talking. You can go in there and actually see the things that he said, listen to his words, and know that it's not what she is putting out there in this speech that she was doing.
It's the same playbook. It's always the same playbook.
Yeah,
all their enemies are racist. All their enemies are Nazis. It's the same damn thing every time.
And time always reveals the truth of anything. And we're lucky in that so many of Charlie's views have been eloquently laid out by him in hours and hours of videos, like you're saying, Steph. Mm-hmm. I think, that to speak to how hard it hit, and George did a stream that day, and Verbal was there, and it felt very raw. And one of the things my family and I were thinking about, how our households went into mourning. We didn't, for several days, we didn't even crack a smile. It just felt like watching a little bit of Charlie every day for the last 5-6 years. It felt like a friend had been murdered.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest part about it was that also coming across the video, we saw our friend getting murdered.
Yeah.
And that part was so difficult. I think all of us were walking around kind of in a daze. I don't know if you guys kind of felt like that too, but I
did.
can, I can speak to at least my family's perspective is that we were just in this daze. I think this is where, Verbal has talked about how this feels like such an inflection point, what's coming next. Kind of there's that hint in this fog that it's a fog of war. But I think our modern version of war looks very different. If you think about it, were we all in a war, we would be in the trenches, and what would we see? We would see our friend getting killed, and we would have to sit and process that and recover from that. And I think that's what it is that the war looks very different now. It's online, and yet it's in your heart, it's in your home. There's a connection that happens that you see everything real time. And there's a lot of violence, whether it's in words or things happening. You're watching someone beat someone up or something. You go online and it's not a place of safety, nor should it be. I'm not arguing for that. I just mean that it looks it has that same psychological impact, watching that your friend got shot and you see it 15 minutes after it happened, or 10 minutes after it happened. And I think it's one of those things, like, how long is it going to take us to process that? Some people will turn it into anger. It feels like our villages are being attacked. How long is it going to take to mobilize all of us? And I think that's been the shocking piece, is that that Sunday, everybody went to church. Everybody said, I need to process this piece. What happens in wartime? People turn to faith.
Well, they turn to each other, to faith, to God, family, and neighborhoods. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've seen that.
No, please, I'm good.
No, for me, I've never believed in I've never believed in that anger that is fury, that is rage, because that's uncontrolled. Mm-hmm. When I've had moments in my life that were something similar, but like what's happened to me, it's cold anger as well as heart that is needed. One that's cool and calm, but that allows you to be precise, to think, because so many people want to just forgive and forget. And I don't mean there's no such thing as forgiveness, but it's like my granddad said, he's like, I can forgive you all day long, but I'm never going to forget what the hell you did, because then I would be a fool too.
Yeah.
I think you have to be able to know we're in a war. There is an enemy. We need to identify that enemy, and we need to fight that enemy, and we need to win, because that's what they're doing.
I honestly, I look at things pretty practically, and I think number one is, when you're in a war, you got to attack them at their strongest base, right? I've been saying forever at this point that colleges are a breeding ground for these fucking monsters.
They are.
They just are. These colleges need to be dismantled, man. These kids go in there normal and come out these radicalized, insane people.
Well, they're programmed. They're foot soldiers. They're making foot soldiers.
And the left, they utilize the mentally ill, right? They utilize them because the mentally ill will go out, commit these crimes, and then they'll excuse them under the guise of it wasn't their fault, right? They're mentally ill. So they're using mentally ill people. They're using these college kids. These are these are their armies. These are their soldiers that they've been breeding for years now.
They have. That's why I said they're foot soldiers. These are no longer universities of higher learning. These are places where they are programming. These are indoctrination camps where they are preparing the future. No different than the Khmer Rouge, how they got the children. They brainwashed them. They trained them so they would bring in their own parents, whack them in the back of the head with a shovel, or pull a bullet in their brain when they had the extra spare. This is what they're doing. But we need to get back to a place where we root out the teachers. Where do you think these students from Arkansas or Texas Tech are getting the chutzpah? They're getting the chutzpah to jump around and all of a sudden go, dance. You saw the girl from Texas Tech. She's dancing, your homie's dead, your homie. You saw that.
Yeah.
The one from Arkansas. I saw one from A&M. I saw one from UCLA. Their teachers are the ones who are giving it to them. You have one teacher who stated, I'm going to give y'all 5 minutes where we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. And then she stops, she hesitates, she's like, and what I mean by that is celebrate.
Right. And then you're having these same students, these same people who graduate, who then become teachers of elementary schools, who then tell kids that they don't know what gender they are. So it's a cycle, man. It's you got to know where to attack these people, right? We've been infiltrated.
And when you have a broken family, that school's going to become your family. That professor is going to become your mom or dad. I think.
Well, and Charlie Kirk was very well aware of that, and that is why he did those campus tours, because he was very aware that campuses are very left-leaning. And, that's why there was so much pushback on Turning Point when he started doing those campus tours. That's why professors would tell their students, go out and protest this man that is coming to our campus, because he's, spewing nothing but hate and vitriol. I hate that word, vitriol.
Yeah, vitriol.
But yeah, that's why he got so much pushback. Because those campuses are very left-leaning, with left-leaning administrators, professors, all of that stuff. And that's why he wanted to focus on going to college campuses, because he was very aware of what they were doing. And he wanted to have conversations with these college students, and offer them another point of view, a point of view and history that they weren't being taught in the classrooms, because they were being taught, very liberal points of views. They weren't being given the whole picture, and that's what he was bringing to the universities, and that's why people looked at it and said, like, no, we're not supposed to have conversations. It's our view, and that is it. It is this way, and that's how it should be. This way is the right way, and this is the way that we're going to treat, and this is the way that we're going to teach you. And he was saying, you're not getting the bigger picture. You should be given all of the information at a university. Otherwise, you are not getting a full, well-rounded education. If you don't know the things that I am saying, then your education is only, it's very pigeonholed. It's only one view. You need to get the entire view, use your critical thinking skills, and come to your own opinion. And the left like to use all of these things and utilize all of these things like safe spaces, in order to further indoctrinate you, because what they're doing is they're pulling the people that utilize these safe spaces, and they're saying, here, come over here. We're going to, this is a safe space. We're going to, make sure that you feel safe over here. By the way, while you're over here, we're going to further, tell you, like, yeah, we're the ones that have the good opinions, and we're going to tell you even more about why we're the ones that have a good opinion. And by the way, your family is terrible, so you should probably cut all ties with your family. And we're now your found family. We're now the people that have the right point of view, that accept you for who you are. Look, think back in your life. Your parents really never really accepted you, right? That's why they were always getting in trouble. It's very manipulative, and it's very cult-like, which is why people say, like, the left is a cult. It is a cult mind. It is a hive mind. And it's very difficult for people to walk away from that, because for years and years, that is what they've been fed. That is what they have been indoctrinated to think. And it really is, I think Gothic says that it's going to take like a personal thing for them to wake up. That's essentially the only thing that it'll take. Because usually when you hear stories of people that have, run away from cults, it's something personal that has happened to them, or something that they want to protect, that will make them wake up and walk away from a cult. So that's pretty much what is going to happen, is that until something personal happens to them, or they experience something personally, that's the only time that they will wake up and walk away.
Good point. Good point. We each have that. Everybody has that one thing that's personal for them. I just want everyone to remember what we're talking about, who we're talking about, and what we lost and what we carry forward today. This is a clip a video clip that Manisha had shared on X, and I think it's powerful.
I'm not going to be able to focus sitting this close to him.
Hi. You ready? What?
Okay.
Hello. I'm not going to be able to focus looking right at you. I'm just going to be staring at you.
Hello.
Oh. Wow.
Ready, Terrell?
Hold on.
We're rolling?
We're not.
All right, you'll be switching. All right, I'll count it down.
Wait. I'm kind of nervous, you guys.
She's nervous, which is why we must get going. All right, we ready?
No.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show.
You're gonna have to do it again.
Introduce yourself.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show.
You're so
I'm engaged. Would you like to introduce yourself, or should I introduce you? How would you like me to start? All right, we'll try it again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Charlie Kirk Show. Joining me is the most special guest, my fiance, Erica. Welcome to The Charlie Kirk Show.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you, Manisha, for putting that up. We're going to go to the memorial because it's starting.
Kirk did in 31 years on this earth. He had more lifetimes in 31 years than all of us have in the entirety of our own. And as I was thinking about that, to recount all that he's accomplished in 31 years is quite a feat. I mean, I was just telling the Turning Point staff as I walked in here, everyone is worried that the Turning Point isn't going to be successful. And I looked at each and every one of them, and for those of you who are negative, without Charlie Kirk's presence, they pulled off the largest event in Turning Point history. Let's thank them. Turning Point is alive and well. All right. I appreciate that, but you're taking my time here. Sit down. I want to do two things, and then I want to do what I've been called to do. First of all, I was thinking of Abraham Lincoln when I was reflecting on Erica and their two children, and for Charlie's parents and his sister. Abraham Lincoln said to Mrs. Bixby when she had lost sons in the Civil War, he wrote these words, "I feel how weak and fruitless must be any word of mine to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. We can't bring him back, but we thank you for raising him. We thank you for loving him. Erica, for being the strength in his life. And we pray for this family, and we ask God's comfort and peace upon you. In Jesus' name, amen." Now my responsibility, entrusted to me by my friend and his wife. You're going to hear of what Charlie did, but I'm here today to tell you the why in what he did. The why brought him the courage. The why brought him the wisdom and the strength. The why is the one that Charlie wanted to welcome as the guest of honor. The guest of honor, his resume is long. He's the King of Glory. He's the Prince of Peace. He's the Savior of the world. He's the living God. He's the God of all mercy and grace. The total embodiment of love. The total embodiment of truth. And he's here today to call his children back to him. From the thin veil of heaven, Charlie declares to all earthly powers and principalities who will gather here, they have come into the presence of the God of all creation. Charlie wanted his Savior to be the guest of honor. He wanted all of you to receive this gift from him, the why and what he did. Charlie was never afraid because he knew his life was secure in the hand of God. Jesus left the glory of heaven's throne for the humiliation of an earthly cross. He was fully tempted, yet was without sin. For those of you who struggle with the word sin, it's real simple. It's an archer's term. Where the bullseye is and where the arrow lands, that's called the sin distance, how far you've fallen from perfection. And there are none righteous, no, not one. We've all missed the mark, the bullseye. And we try to get to God by our efforts, but there is no effort that will bring us back into the presence of a righteous God. You see, the wages of sin is death. Charlie knew this, and at an early age, he entrusted his life to the Savior of the world. Jesus came to this earth, was tempted in all ways, yet was without sin, was crucified upon a cross. His blood was poured out because blood must be shed for the remission of sins. And his death upon that cross was sufficient for all the world's sins, but only efficient for those who, like Charlie, would receive him as their Savior. Jesus has come to seek and save that which is lost. And I would say this to all of you. The Lord loves you. He wants to save you. He wants to give you a new life. He wants to cover the multitude of your sins by the blood he shed upon the cross. The Bible says if you believe in your heart and you confess with your tongue Jesus is Lord, you will be saved to the glory of the Father. You see, Charlie looked at politics as an on-ramp to Jesus. He knew if he could get all of you rowing in the streams of liberty, you'd come to its source, and that's the Lord.
What is with the separation distance here? Is this for security? People see that? You see how there's that barrier? There's this gap?
I would imagine those are probably maybe invited people, more security.
No, I'm just seeing that gap there. I'm just trying to, because I was listening and I was reading that they had caught 2 people in the last 24 hours that wanted to, that one brought a gun and a knife.
Oh, goodness. People are sick.
Yeah, they wanted to, of course, you have to assume what they wanted to do. One person was caught actually by a few internet, kind of like internet detectives. They had, one had a badge on.
Wow.
Yeah, and then cameras started turning. You can find the post online. Cameras started turning to him, he covered it up and then put it away, and people notified the feds, and the sheriffs arrested him. But yeah, there's several reports that people have tried to, had planned on doing something here. That's why I was just wondering. It's a beautiful speech he was giving. It's just, I'm wondering if that's some type of security perimeter where no one's allowed because it's empty with all the people there. All right, I'll go back to this.
In the time I have remaining, I'm going to ask all who profess Christ as their Savior to remain seated. The Bible says, if you profess me before man, I'll profess you before my Father in heaven. It requires an act of faith. You stand. That's what Charlie did every day on campus with death threats. He stood because he knew in whom he had trusted. And he wants to give you the gift of the why and what he did, and that is his Savior, Jesus. While believers are seated, if there's any in this room and across the globe that would desire to receive Jesus as their Savior, as Charlie did as a young man, and now is in the presence of his Savior, I'm going to ask you to put action to your faith. And I'd ask you to stand right now to receive the Lord. Don't be ashamed. Stand. Amen. 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 The Bible says, that when one sinner gives their heart to the Lord, the angels in heaven rejoice. And I got to tell you, there's one up there right now, Charlie Kirk. He's stoked and he's excited about your commitment to his Savior. for this remaining moment. If you've given your heart to the Lord and someone is seated next to you, I want that person who's a believer to stand and pray with you. And please, up on the screen, I want you to take a picture of this QR code. We are going to give you everything you need to walk this walk with Christ. Faith comes from hearing, and hearing from the Word of God, and it's time to get into a Bible-believing church. And pastors, if you didn't want to give Charlie Kirk the time of day, these folks are going to be showing up at your church, and they're there because of his life. God bless you, and may the Lord keep you. Amen.
God bless Charlie Kirk. God bless America. Do you want me to share this, Manisha? Is that what you want me to share?
Sure.
Real quick before we go back? Okay.
Sure.
Because I just read it and I was choked up. Wow, that's yeah. Manisha just sent this to me. I still feel like calling you baggage claim.
I know.
Okay.
I didn't even warn you that I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I've just been changing it everywhere. This was again one of those impacts of what happened to Charlie's that for a long time I've hidden behind baggage claim, and now I said, I just want to speak with my name. Yes.
Good. It says from Neil Berg from the New York Times interview with Erica Kirk. The sheriff met her in the hospital. He offered her the option of seeing the body, but she said, advised against it. The bullet, he explained, had ravaged Mr. Kirk's neck. With all due respect, Miss Kirk remembered saying, I want to see what they did to my husband. She was braced for the worst, but what she saw surprised her. His eyes were semi-open, Miss Kirk said, and he had this knowing, this Mona Lisa-like half smile, like he died happy, like Christ had rescued him. The bullet came, he blinked, and he was in heaven. She had not been able to kiss him goodbye when he left the house earlier that morning. She did so then. I have not read that interview. Unbelievable.
I think her strength in all of this, it's a loss that some people know in this world, and many of the rest of us can't contemplate. Losing the love of your life, and that little video compilation that you shared too, just really gets me emotional. That there's so much love between them, so much gentleness between them. I think, and their platform, they really wanted to model for other young people what love should look like. They weren't arguing for some tyrannical version of marriage where the man has all the power and the woman is just subservient, which is what a lot of young people think that that's what marriage is. And for me, I've been married 3 years, but when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I really thought that marriage was something completely else. And I think that they've done such a service sharing their love with the world, and now unfortunately also her immense loss. It's really heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. It is, but she has the power and she has the children. It is heartbreaking. There's no other way to put it. It is heartbreaking what he's gone through, and to have to see her husband like that.
Yeah, that's terrible. And he didn't, Charlie Kirk, whenever he spoke on marriage as well, he didn't lie. He would say that it is one of the most difficult things that he's gone through, but it's worth it. He would say at the end of the day, it is worth it. And he wanted, everybody to experience marriage with their soulmates.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that he wanted them to experience that love, because love is empowering. It unites. It brings people together. I go back to the left. I think that's one of the biggest things that they are missing. Mm-hmm. I haven't been a lefty, so I don't know, but everything that I study, everything that I read, everything that I see with my eyes, they're missing that core, that heart. To me, it's not, it's hate, not hope. It's lies, not love. I don't know who's coming out next, but the president is supposed to be coming in.
Please welcome to the stage, Rebecca Dunn.
Any of you guys know who she is?
Charlie Kirk was scheduled to speak at my husband's upcoming memorial.
No.
Instead,
who is she, Ron?
I am here speaking at Charlie's memorial.
Ron?
No, I don't know.
Rebecca Dunn. I've heard of the Dunn Foundation. Rebecca Dunn. Let me put it back.
I'm just going to say a quick thing. Sorry. I know there are some people in chat saying really terrible things. May I just recommend, instead of blocking them, let them say whatever they're saying. May I just recommend to the people in the chat, just don't give it any attention. This person obviously wants to come here and disrupt things. Just don't give it any attention. You say what you need to say, stick to the positive side, but also let this person show their true face. That's okay. We should not shy from their true face.
No, I think that's one of the best things to happen in the last in the last 12 days is people are speaking up and they're showing who they are. Some are unmasking themselves and we see what's underneath is but a monster. Others are coming out and showing their strength, their caring, their kindness, that they're willing to listen. I've even had liberal friends of mine who've called me up, some that I've been talking to for years. And one of them's like, I have to think about life now. I have to change. It's simple. We can't hide from them. We've been hiding too long. They want us to be silenced. The best way that you stand up to these people is to let monsters expose themselves.
Yeah.
That's all. I agree with you. Let monsters. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis impressed me as well. And she has said a lot of crazy stuff. Did y'all hear what she said the other day? She said, I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but come on. This can't be allowed to happen. I think she's the only celebrity besides that other one, the Chenoweth.
Oh, Kristen Chenoweth, yeah.
Yeah, she came out and she was crying about it because she made a post.
She got so much hate for that as well.
Did.
I think she was responding to someone else. I can't remember who she was responding to. But she got so much hate for coming out and supporting and acknowledging that it is a tragedy and that this is something that terrible that has happened.
Yes, how many people are they spend their time living in hate? It's they cannot win. The reality is hate cannot win. It has a few moments of victory. We had the long march to the institutions. People have now woken up because we went through what Manisha said earlier. Every society goes to sleep at some point. If I remember, Lord Alexander Tytler used to describe it as a 200-year cycle where you started in bondage, you went from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to courage, from courage to freedom, from freedom to success. It wasn't the word he used, but it was something like from success to despair, from despair to apathy, from apathy to dependence, and dependence back into bondage.
Well, you got to let these people.
I'd heard about the fourth turning. Sorry. I'd heard about the fourth turning, that it was a 100-year cycle. I've never heard that, George. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, but it's Alexander. I'll send you the link. Alexander Tytler, if I'm saying it correctly. Lord Alexander Tytler. Alexander. Because he basically had this philosophy, and it's a famous quote where he said, no form of democratic society can survive as a democracy. It will only survive until the point that the people figure out that they can vote themselves largesse from the treasury. At that moment is the beginning of the end, because he believed it was all about bad fiscal policy destroyed any country, empire, or civilization. And that once the electors figure that out, politicians figure it out, and all they start doing is who can give people more? And once that happens, he's like, that's it. It's over.
I was going to say back to Bags Claim's point about the about letting these people talk. I agree. Let them talk, man. I feel like the more they do this, the more shit they pull, the more you're going to get like these Bill Maher type liberals who are at this point in the middle, moving more towards the right. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get more moderate liberals just becoming straight up right because the left is pushing them away.
Most definitely. I think we should take a look at that real quick while Rebecca Dunn is speaking. Bill Maher was brilliant. I was stunned that someone who was on the left went after the left the way he did.
Well, the thing is, a lot of Gen X liberals think like Bill Maher does, right? And they're either barely hanging on to the left or they just completely left the left completely.
Hold on. I think this is it.
Yeah, I agree. It's that the left has run so far to the left that they've left the Gen
They've left the
Xers side.
left.
Yeah, they've left the left. Yeah, and I think exactly. The verbal, what you're saying is that it's waking up their own party too to the kind of infestation of just terrible demonic people that they've allowed to run their party. And now I think there's going to be, I think, one of the things I found really interesting is that when the election, when Trump won, some of my friends came up to me that are on the left and they said, we kind of had a wake up call in the sense that we thought Kamala was going to win. Why is it that a Republican won and now we're just sort of going back and rethinking everything? They were still going to stay on the left, but they were just rethinking sort of what exactly was going on in the country. And I said, the Republicans didn't win. Everybody who's in leadership are ex-Democrats. I mean, you have Robert F. Kennedy, you have Trump, who was a Democrat, you have Elon Musk, who was a Democrat, you have Vivek Ramaswamy, who was a Democrat, you have Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat. The Republican Party were warmongers that got really taken out of power because Trump came in, sort of bashed the Republican Party and essentially took over, and the people wanted that. So and what happened is that the Republicans all went over to the left. I mean, Liz Cheney was supporting Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was supporting Liz Cheney. The left became the party of war. So, when I said that to them, they were astounded. I mean, that is not how they had looked at it at all. And I think the Republicans have had their renaissance. They've gone through a complete overhaul. Now the left has to do the same thing. They need to go through because we need that balance. We need the left and right balance. One party should not be in charge of everything. I do think that we are now going into an era where the Republicans will be in charge for a little bit. And we need that. We need a lot of cleanup because of the damage that the left has done over the last 15 years. And the left needs to get their act together in that time that they're out of power. They need to come up with a good coalition after, once the Republicans have done a lot of their work, it's what you were saying, George. It's a cycle, right? There are periods where something needs, there's a period where the power shifts from one side to another. But then as the power shifts and it stays there for a little bit, it starts to get corrupted. It needs the challenge from the other side. It's a constant back and forth pendulum swing of challenges and corruption.
I agree that the Democrats do need an overhaul. They need a party overhaul. Unfortunately, that is going to take a while for them simply because the people that they have in power right now are so obsessed with power and believe everything that is coming out of their mouth. They believe everything. They believe that they are the righteous ones. They believe that they are the ones that have the correct opinion. They're incredibly stubborn. And unless they really look inward and think, okay, I kind of have to change some things, that the overhaul will never come. But they are going to have to do a full party overhaul because, I mean, they're not popular right now. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And it's because they have let the sort of far left extremists sort of take over their party, take over the narrative, and they've been the loudest ones within that party. So,
Well, it's a good thing then if you have more moderate voices which start to sprout up, and you have more people like Bill Maher. You think Bill Maher saw he seems to have been different ever since the election. Do you pay attention to Gothics at all, Bill Maher?
I do. I mean, I don't know. I take it with a grain of salt because I understand that people can change their mind and come to their senses, but I still look at him as a person who hasn't fully gotten it yet. It's like the people that say, there's violence on both sides. It's like, yeah, no shit. But in comparison, I think we can isolate where a lot of it is coming from. I think it's dishonest to say otherwise.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to him. Like I said,
You're cutting through the crap. You're like, I want to see real evidence.
Right. And also the other thing that I want to say too is the concerning thing for me is seeing how a lot of people are walking away from the left. And I think I think people underestimate how quickly the right can turn into the left, and that's why I think it's better to look at it as like a good versus evil and not like a political thing, because watch how quickly the right will turn in. And I'm already seeing it. Like, people are just ready to go to war. Like, yeah, civil war. And I'm like, you don't understand. You're walking into a trap. And there's part of me that thinks all of these radicals on the left are not as dumb as we may perceive them to be, because they know that they're pushing people away. So why would you knowingly do that unless you're trying to consolidate power on another side? Does that make sense?
It does, but but that would mean that they would win when you look at the percentages. Like, Verbal and I talked last week. It feels that many parts of the situation, especially since Irina Zarutska, like, we've had one horrible event after another that feels like someone's trying to push us in the middle so we can tear each other apart. That's
The
what I get.
people who run the Democratic Party are terrified of the radical base. There's a dynamic problem there, because the radical base provides them with street violence and activism, which they depend on. It's an important part of what they do. They also, to a very large extent, provide them with money. Neville Roy Singham and George, is the other, the other George Soros.
Yeah.
Might be richer than Soros. Very, very radical people. They are motivated to give money to the left. These are the people who radical policies don't affect them at all. Their lives are they're living in a stratosphere. They push the party to the left, and they're not that worried about electoral consequences because they believe that they have the system figured out and that they don't have to worry about electoral consequences, which is why Trump's U.S. aid moves got them so upset, because U.S. aid has been funding
Slush
a
fund.
lot of what's gone on the left for a very long time. That's why they've also gone to court over every single executive order, because these orders are piece by piece taking apart the system by which the left has tried to make democracy itself irrelevant. Keep in mind, the Democratic Party has never been a grassroots party. It has always branded itself as a grassroots party, but it has only ever been a top-down party. And the only way that can ever change is if they actually become a minority party in Congress, the way the Republicans were during the Roosevelt administration,
right,
which is a big ask. But there's a third component, right? I talked about the power and I talked about the money. They not only do they not have principles, they don't argue principles, they don't debate principles, they don't stand for principles, but they don't even have limiting principles with respect to any of their positions. That's why leftist terror can never be denounced, because they're with it. That's why the most extreme versions of culture war, and the gender stuff and the extreme reverse racism can never be denounced, because there's never an enemy to the left.
Right, you can't go far enough.
And therefore, they ultimately, I do think, Steph, that they're going to get there. I think they're going to, because of what the brave things that Trump and his administration are doing now, and frankly, the Supreme Court stepping up to the extent that it has, which has been quite considerable. I think we're going to see real change.
Oh, I think it's here. In the beginning, I said I think the world has changed forever from September 9th, September 10th on forward. Here's what Bill Maher actually said that we started this whole conversation before we get back to the memorial service.
Life is fucking weird. It was 24 years to the day that I made comments on ABC that got me canceled from that network, and Jimmy Kimmel took my slot. Did you know that? At Politically Incorrect? Oh, yes, I got canceled before cancel even had a culture. So new headline. Yeah, this is on my wall from the Variety. White House keeps heat on ABC's Maher. This shit ain't new. It's worse. We'll get to that. But, you know, ABC, they are steady. ABC stands for Always Be Caving. So, Jimmy, pal, I am with you. I support you. And on the bright side, you don't have to pretend anymore that you like Disneyland. That was always a great part of it for me when I got my ass canned over there.
Where is the other section? Did they re-edit this?
Well, which section?
The one where he was actually going after him for a minute. I had that. Hold on.
Sometimes he does it at the end.
Yeah, I had
like with his final thoughts. I didn't see that particular episode.
Hold on. I'm gonna go back to the memorial while I look for that.
I mean, the thing is, I do get Gothic's point when it comes to the good versus evil, and I completely agree with that. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. You know, like I always say, I'm politically homeless. I don't care for either side. I just said one side tends to piss me off a little bit more than the other, but for the most part, you know, you got to keep your eyes open, man, because zealots are, you know, they come on both ends, man, and you got to be careful about that shit. But right now, you know, if we're going to talk about good versus evil, you know, a lot of that shit is on the left right now. And not to make it political, but that's just what it is. And they are edging and they are pushing for something that they're not even ready for. And that's what I'm saying. We're all getting played. Because the left, as stupid, I mean, as violent as they are and as crazy as they are, you know, they don't realize how much they're getting played. And that's the problem.
But they're getting played from the perspective to keep pushing them to fight, to divide and conquer. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. They are being useful idiots right now.
It just, to me, doesn't make sense in the aspect. I understand it. I feel it. We've talked about it. But they would lose. They would lose if you just look at the breakdown in the country. So again, how is pushing them to a conflict end up as a victory for them? Istophobos just shared a little while ago one of the after action reports that I mentioned earlier that Antifa said, and it was the first time that they were scared. I'm glad that they're scared. They need to be afraid because what they've done up to this point hasn't been exercising free speech. It's been terrorizing people, modern day brown shirts.
Oh, George, I can answer that question for you on how they thought they were going to win. You have to remember, these people for the past, I don't know how many years now, have had the media on their side, have had the government on their side for years now. That's why they thought they could win. But now they're starting to realize that they don't have that anymore. I mean, they still have the media, but they don't have government on their side anymore.
Whatever the hell the hat means anymore, having the media on your side. Here is the clip that I thought was deleted.
And, you know, Jimmy, look, I don't think what he said was exactly right. I don't. We don't agree on that. He didn't lose his job for it. He said the MAGA crowd was trying to characterize the assassin as anything but one of them because the 22-year-old kid in jail, his family was MAGA. As if a 22-year-old with a trans girlfriend never rebelled against their family. I mean, but
anyway. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah, it's weird how they're still trying to paint this guy as MAGA.
I know.
When his girlfriend literally has a dick. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know many conservative men who date a woman with balls. You know,
you
like
forgot.
That's just me. And
you forgot. You forgot.
You're just uneducated, okay?
He's MAGA with a trans girlfriend. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on, be accurate here culturally. A furry MAGA
My bad.
girlfriend. Yeah, well, what are you doing? You're being culturally insensitive.
It was so hilarious to me because as soon as they found out that like the family was MAGA, the family were Republican, they took that and they were foaming at the mouth like, oh my gosh, here we go, here, as if once you reach a certain age, or even when you go off to high school and create your own friend group, you start forming your own opinions. The guy was 22 years old, went to college, didn't live with his parents anymore, gaining new experiences. Aside from like the morals that your family instill in you throughout your childhood, you tend to gain a different point of view throughout your life. Your outlook tends to change. You don't stay with the things that your parents taught you. If your parents are Republican, there's households that are divided. People are Republican, people are Democrats. The fact that they're just like the whole house was MAGA, that means the kid is MAGA. No, that's not what that means. The young man has a different point of view. He was out experiencing life and he has a different worldview. That happens. That is natural. He's 22 and he has this new set of friends, new set of experiences. You're not going to, at times you sort of drift away from the things that your parents taught you, and then as you get older, you kind of sort of come back to it, as you start having your own family.
But Steph, it's college. It's college.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just going off to the army, going off to summer camp, going off to to a new job. It's getting into one of these state universities that have been completely taken over by radicals. And the environment there is oppressive. The kids can't think for themselves anymore. And as you say, they're now ready to separate themselves and to establish their own identities. And what are they going to do? Are they going to adopt the unpopular position?
Yeah, and if he was MAGA again, why would he go after Charlie of all people? Like, again, it makes zero sense, right? Gothics, it's like,
well, I mean, no, George,
that's what Jimmy did.
Well,
I think that's the worst thing.
The narrative that they were creating as to why he would go after Charlie because he's MAGA is that Charlie was moderate. He wasn't conservative enough. That's what they were saying.
Is that what they
really
think?
ridiculous.
He didn't believe in gay marriage. He didn't believe in abortion.
Enough. Which is why they brought Nick Fuentes into the conversation.
Oh,
as
the
well.
Goiper.
He wasn't conservative enough, and that's why he needed to be taken out. He was bad for the Republican Party. He was bad for conservatives. He wasn't conservative enough. That's
the man with the trans girlfriend thinks that Charlie Kirk is a conservative.
Yeah, that was the narrative that they were running with for a while, which is completely ridiculous.
It's crazy when you think about it, the way Manisha said.
It's so odd. I think they're bending over backwards because they don't want to take responsibility because they know they've been calling for hatred and violence against the right. And of course they're not going to take responsibility for that. Right off the bat, they're continuing to do that. They're continuing to talk about how the right needs to be destroyed.
But it's the same way. Remember in 2020 where you had reporters when you had cities and buildings burning down, they're like, this is the summer of love. Yeah. Fire's behind you. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
that's what they're relying on. They're relying on an entire base that is not open to critical thinking at all. They don't think for themselves at all. This is why so many people
they don't have the tools. They are incapable of doing it.
Yes, they're incapable of doing it. Do you all remember that video that went viral of Charlie debating a woman on a college campus? And I believe Vivek Ramaswamy was with him too. And she said, "Who are you? Why are you even here?" And he said, well, I'm talking to voters. They have an equal right to vote as I do. So I have the right to discuss their beliefs with them. I mean, it's completely logical. But she was trying to use this argument that you're terrorizing college students. You're coming here and you're victimizing them essentially. And then when everything fails, what does she do? She pulls her shirt down to expose herself. And this is it. It's any means necessary to silence. I mean, if one of the things I find really interesting is there is such a big belief that there's only toxicity. It's such a hard word to say.
Toxicity.
But yeah, there you go. Thank you. On the masculine side, what about female toxicity? How does that look like? It's this. It's that there is a psychological warfare that women will engage in, and they're willing to show themselves, expose themselves just to shut you up. I mean, it's insane.
It is. I've watched it when Gothics is with Brandon Stracco and y'all are talking on the college campus. I saw that where you had, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago? You had that one guy who was, were you in New York or was it in San Diego or San Francisco?
It was California.
California. And that one guy was like, what are y'all doing? He was like starting to mouth off, what are y'all doing here? And you're like, well, we're talking. This is a conversation. Do you have a question? It's like, if you don't want to participate, go away. There's dialogue happening. Have you gotten used to that?
I mean, I expect it whenever I go to these things. It just definitely after the Charlie incident, I'm rethinking like, okay, how much security do we actually need for this type of stuff? But, that's a question that comes up every time is why are you doing this? Why are you here? Why are you spreading these views? And I still say the same thing. We're on a college campus where we're here to debate different ideas. You're supposed to be able to expand your brain when you go on a campus. And the fact that we're instead getting surrounded and screeched at by hundreds of college students should tell you that something is wrong, that maybe free thought isn't that free on this campus. And I would be concerned if I'm putting myself in financial debt and not being able to hear a different opinion without thinking you are literally being attacked. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, because you're a threat to the machine. That's exactly what you are. They don't want them to critically think.
Yeah.
I actually remember that stream that you were talking about, or that video that you were talking about, when it actually happened with the girl exposing herself. She did that in order to try and get it taken down. It was the last ditch effort to try and get it taken down, and that's actually what they labeled. I believe that's what they labeled the video as, on the YouTube channel. But I that is the narrative that they run with when Charlie Kirk comes to university, is that he is a professional debater that just wants to own the libs and make them look bad, make them look crazy. That's pretty much the narrative that they run with, which is why that he gets so much pushback. And he says that, no, we record it so that people can see the dialogue, people can see this exchange of thoughts. And that's what we're doing here. He's not trying to own the libs. He's trying to just offer them a different opinion so that they have a full, well-rounded a view of how the world is, of all of these thoughts put together, and maybe, just maybe, change their opinion or let them dig a little deeper, let them do their own research. And that's why a lot of times with when he's talking to a lot of these students on campuses, he ends it with, maybe you should give that a little more thought, maybe you should think on that, maybe you should consider that. He would always leave a lot of the conversations like that, or end a lot of the conversations like that with those types of phrases. Maybe it's something to think about. And even the people who are debating him, will offer him an idea that he doesn't have any knowledge on. And so he will look into that later, because he wants to form a really a good opinion about the things that he's talking about. So it's an exchange of ideas and just a wealth of knowledge that he just, wants to impart on all of these kids that are attending these debates. It's not done with any type of malice. It's done to have conversations with future voters. He's going to these colleges because they are the future voters of America. I mean, technically they can still already vote, but he wants to make sure that they're voting not the right way, but they're voting with a clear and full view of the people that are in power.
Well, now you're going to have his wife carry forward.
And what's funny is that his wife is more conservative than he is. He said that he actually became more conservative after he got married.
Interesting. Well, I'm learning more and more about her every day. Let's go back to the memorial.
He wasn't looking for publicity or credit. He did it because that's what a leader does. That's what a friend does. And that's what a Christian is supposed to do. Sometimes I would express guilt to Charlie that I couldn't do my job at 100%. Charlie's response every single time was family first. When Mike ultimately passed away, Charlie and the entire team were there for us yet again. They helped my daughter Grace through the unbearable tragedy of losing her father on her 9th birthday. But Charlie's help didn't stop there. This January, I lost my home in the Pacific Palisades fire. Charlie's response was very clear and very direct. This is a sign you and Grace belong in Arizona now. Within a few months, we moved here, and Charlie and Erica welcomed us into their family. While enduring our various tragedies, my daughter Grace would ask me at least once a day, "Why would God do this to us, Mom?" My honest and only answer was, someday we will look at each other and instantly know why all of this had to happen. And it will be for something far greater than we can ever imagine. In my first conversation with Grace after Charlie's death, Grace said to me through tears over the phone, "Mom, this is the answer to my question. This is our why. Now we can be there for Erica and Gigi and Mac, the way they were there for us." Looking back today, it's so clear to me that Grace was right. I know for certain that my late husband, Mike, Charlie, and God were guiding us here for this very moment in time. It was always written. Erica, Grace and I will support you and your babies the way you and Charlie were there for us in our darkest days. Charlie, we will miss your words of wisdom, your high-pitched laugh, it was kind of awkward, and the way your voice would always soften when you spoke to Erica and your children. And I promise we're gonna make TPUSA so big that it reaches you in heaven.
I have to say, I find it moving and heartening that we've seen memorials before for political leaders, and obviously he wasn't a politician, but he was a leader. But we've never seen it have so much faith wrapped up into it. And I really like that. I think it's a beautiful way to bring people together to honor him.
Everything Charlie prayed for in his life, a restoration of faith, a rebirth of patriotism, is coming to fruition in his death. And right now, he is beaming at us from heaven. The fact that we pulled this off in 7 days is a miracle that only Charlie Kirk can deliver, by the way. So in Charlie's words, let's get to work, everybody. We have a country to save. Thank you.
I love that after his passing, we've found out just how much more of an impact he's had on the current politics. The fact that he did pretty much deliver the young person vote and delivered such a swing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came out and said that he brokered the meeting between Trump and himself. And of course, then RFK Jr. brought all of his support with him. And even the celebration that he had set up for that very momentous handshake that RFK Jr. did and Trump did. That, I mean, he did so much, and he was just working in the background tirelessly for this country.
He lived what he believed in, and it doesn't get better than that in life. You know, you do what you believe in, you practice what you preach. But think about it, RFK Jr., you just mentioned him. He embraced President Trump to make the country better, and he lost his family in the process and gained another one in many ways.
That's right. That's right.
Very sad and very happy at the same time. And I didn't know how much Kirk was involved. Didn't know. I watched his videos for a long time. I did not know the impact he was having, like the magnitude of it.
I didn't either. I didn't really appreciate it.
Same here.
I thought I knew that they did some campus stuff. I knew they had an annual conference. I didn't have any idea of the extent of influence.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw someone. I don't remember where or what creator it was, but yeah, he pretty much single-handedly got the youth, the college students, like the young kids, into politics and started paying attention, giving them a full, well-rounded view of conservatism, what we stand for, and I think that because he was so impactful when it comes to youth voters, that person, I really wish that I could remember who it was, said that, his passing sort of ignited even more young people, because it was like they were losing a brother. It was like they lost a brother, a big brother who spoke up for them on campus when no one else would, because a lot of college campuses are left-leaning. If you already have those views and you are already conservative, you are looked down upon. Even the teachers will grade you upon that. That they'll treat you, they'll give you, they'll grade your stuff with a harsher view because they know that you're a conservative. And Charlie stood up for those kids. Charlie stood up for them, gave them a voice. And that voice was quickly taken away from them. So it was described it as, it was like them losing the big brother that would stand up for them on campus. And but yeah, he was very impactful, especially with the young people.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I like the way you put that, as a big brother, someone they could turn to, and because of all the pressure that they would be surrounded with, whether it was from professors or from students. I hope Turning Points USA now not fills it. You can't fill it. You can't replace Charlie Kirk, but you can have people step into it to be able to be there for them, because now is an important time. Well, how do you feel about what y'all are hearing from everybody? Like, Verbal, what you're hearing when you see so many people at the memorial, and just like what we just discussed for a second, like when you're discovering how much Charlie Kirk impacted this country and how much he impacted the youth. Does that move you?
Yeah, man. And I've said before, I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything. Like there were some things I definitely disagree with him about. But him getting killed in the way that he did, it's not just about the man, right? It's about what he represented, which was us being able just to speak, having free speech, and that's what it was really an attack on, and the left have this ability to separate a human being from a cause. You know what I mean? Like they looked at Charlie Kirk like literally the enemy. They know nothing about the man himself. They didn't know anything about his wife, knew nothing about his kids, knew nothing about his personal life. They just saw him as the enemy because they are programmed to see anybody who doesn't buy into their ideology as the enemy.
Period.
So And again, man, I come from a place of not being that fond of either political side, but that's why you got to look at the person and not just the rhetoric, right? And then the worst part about the rhetoric is this: they clip and they pick and choose, they cherry pick what they want to show, right? Like they'll show one thing he said completely out of context, right? To be able to stick to labeling him as either a racist, a transphobe, a homophobe, the worst person in the world, by clipping like one little section of a very long speech he did. And this is this is their way of erasing the humanity out of the man so that they could villainize him.
Right. They want to villainize him while they humanize the monster.
You could disagree with somebody. Like I said, I didn't agree with everything he said.
Yeah.
Right. But I was able to find common ground on some things I definitely agreed with that he talked about.
And to add to your point, that those clips that where he's justifying the need for the Second Amendment, and they're talking about how he's politicizing the death of children in these shootings. They don't talk about what he suggests and how to prevent those problems. They don't talk about any of that. But they also don't acknowledge that it's the left who, the second there's a shooting, they start attacking the Second Amendment instead of talking about the cultural issues at the core. You know, if you go back to the 1950s, a child could walk into a store and buy a gun, but there were no shootings at that time. It was a culture. It wasn't a gun control issue. It was a cultural issue. Why do people find it necessary to go and do that today? And so they're the ones who are posing that question in that connection. Now you're forcing a man to defend an important value of America, which is the Second Amendment, and then you are talking about why he should have. You're treating it as a problem that he's sitting and defending it. But you're the one who brought it up. Your side is the one who brought it up in the first place. Same thing. A lot of people talk about, the assault of a 5-year-old child. He would force his 5-year-old child to have a baby. Who brought up the 5-year-old child into the situation? He didn't. A woman who's arguing for abortion brought up that what would you do if your 5-year-old child was assaulted? What a thing to even bring up. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to win the argument, so they try to make it as emotionally charged as possible. So they use an edge case, a once in a million case where a girl somewhere had a child at 5, which is like otherwise completely impossible. But
and the irony is they hate kids. They hate kids. That's the irony about it.
They get
a good point. That's a good point.
Anisha just said it. They want to win the argument. He wanted to win the soul of the nation.
The reason she posed that question was to put him in a lose-lose situation.
Right.
If he said, yes, I would, have that child because, and his reasoning is based in faith, is because he doesn't believe that something evil should come out of an evil act, right? He wants something good to come out of an evil act. So if he says that, he looks like a monster because he would put his child through that. Right. When in reality, he's actually taken the high road, because it would be a hard thing to do to, one, know that your daughter went through that trauma. She's going to have to raise a baby of her attacker. He's going to have to look at that baby every single day. That is the high road. That is the good thing to do. That is the moral thing to do. And, and that is something that they would have to go through almost every single day as a family. Whereas if he says, no, I will let her get an abortion, then he's completely throwing away all of his worldview, all of his faith, to have the child get an abortion. So he is put in a lose-lose situation, and she knew that going in, asking that question. But that opinion, his response, is being put out there as that is the only thing that I view. Like, that is my one opinion, is that I think that 10-year-olds should carry a child to term if they're ever assaulted. When that's not his. I mean, yes, it is based in it is his opinion based in faith, but it is his answer to a question that was posed to him. It is a lose-lose question, and the person that argued with him on that Jubilee episode knew that. She knew what she was going to do. She knew that
absolutely right. It was a lose question, absolutely. Yeah. And also the piece is that, if something happens to a 5-year-old child, whose responsibility is that? It's the fathers. It's the failure of the father unable to, and that's how a father would think of it, is that I failed to protect my child. Whose responsibility are these children?
It's Benny Johnson is speaking really quickly. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Sure. Yeah, that's
Hold on, let me get him.
The first martyr. Stephen was killed for speaking the truth about Christ, much like Charlie Kirk. The martyr Stephen was the same age as Charlie Kirk when he was martyred. At that time, Christianity was just a few very scared Christians in Jerusalem. And after Stephen's martyrdom, Christianity spread throughout the known world. The power of martyrdom. This is how God and Christ always advances his kingdom, and he's doing it right now with Charlie Kirk. It is a wonderful thing to see. We were all witness to a miracle. Charlie's life was a miracle. We could all see it, those who worked up close and those who watched from far away. We got to witness a miracle in Charlie's life. Someone who was there that day when Stephen was martyred was Saul. Saul was the one who was taking the garments so that Stephen could be killed. And through Stephen's martyrdom, the Apostle Paul was reached by Christ to go out and write the majority of the New Testament. There was no one who was irredeemable. And that is what Charlie would have wanted us to know about his faith in Jesus Christ. The power of Christ's blood and the power of martyrdom speaks through Charlie. The Apostle Paul would go on to write the book of Romans. And I'd just like to close with this. In Romans 13, the Apostle Paul talks about a godly government instituted by our Lord and Savior. And what does he describe? The Apostle Paul describes how God establishes the rulers of the nations. In the audience right now, there are rulers of our land. Represented right here is the State Department, the Department of War, the Department of Justice, the Chief Executive. God has instituted them. God has given them power over our nation and our land. God saved our president, President Trump, from an assassin's bullet for this moment.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Kim, there's no question about it.
No, there's not. They absolutely not.
And what does the Apostle Paul in Romans say about a godly leadership? He says that rulers wield the sword for the protection of good men and for the terror of evil men. May we pray that our rulers here, rightfully instituted and given power by our God, wield the sword for the terror of evil men in our nation, in Charlie's memory.
Works for me.
I want to live in a country where the evil are terrified and where the good and the faithful and the moral people of our nation can live in peace. Debate in
That is exactly what we were saying earlier. It's what I said. They need to start trembling. Evil needs to start trembling. You cannot coexist with it in the same place. Can't. I agree 100%. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Gothics, what do you think about what Benny is saying?
I mean, I agree with it. Nothing else to add to it.
Yeah. Ron, what about you?
Benny nailed it, and I don't mind saying that the concept of the power that comes through martyrdom is one that is shared by Judaism,
Yes,
and Christianity, and the fact that what happened 2 weeks ago has resulted in most of the most powerful people in the state of our great country being present at this event is a complete proof of that.
I agree. 100%.
Peace, disagree in peace, and start families in peace. And so we want to thank the administration for being here and carrying out that godly mission of wielding the sword against evil. In conclusion, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this to all of the young men in the audience, and I can see so many young men out there. Charlie really reached young men and women, but this is the advice that Charlie gave me. Center your life on Christ. Fall in love. Get married. Have 1 million kids. And live out your American dream. And by doing that, we can create millions and millions and millions of Charlie Kirks. And we can save our land. That will be our turning point. God bless you. And God bless Charlie Kirk. He's looking down on us, smiling from heaven. God bless you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said.
It's the most serious and substantial thing I've ever heard from Benny.
Yeah, somebody asked a question here. How do you make evil tremble when they think they're righteous? I think it doesn't matter what they think. Anybody else want to answer that?
Well, tremble is fear, right? They have to feel fear.
Correct. I think it doesn't matter how they take it, as long as they, no vulgarity today for me, as long as they tremble and they stop committing evil acts. Here's Dr. Ben.
I think you show them that they're outnumbered. And
Yeah.
right now, they can see they are outnumbered.
Yep, perfectly said again, Steph.
American Cornerstone Institute grieve with everyone as we think about the loss of our friend and partner, Charlie Kirk. But did you hear a political figure last week saying that Charlie Kirk was ignorant because he didn't have a college degree?
Oh, God.
I've seen him run circles around people with college degrees.
They're talking about Chuck Schumer and a couple of others who said he didn't know what he was talking about. He was ignorant because he didn't graduate. He constantly attacked those who went to university.
To be fair, Chuck Schumer is the antithesis of a political leader.
Yeah. You put it.
The fact that they're using that against him, that he didn't go to college or whatever, is hilarious because Charlie Kirk like totally embraced that, and it's not like it was something that he hid. It was something that he put out there.
But I think that's exactly why he was so dangerous to, the elite universities and to the mainstream media, because he would tell kids, look at where I'm at. I didn't complete college. I didn't go. I'm here. I was moved by a message, a mission, and this is what I'm doing. And you don't get a lot of kids going into debt for the rest of their lives to be programmed. Okay, not a problem. Manisha, you have to get going.
Yes, I'm so sorry, George. I usually like to give you a heads up, but something's popped up.
It's all right, my friend.
I just wanted to wish you well and thank you for holding this stream. I wanted to wish all the rest of you well as well. I think processing stuff like this together is actually really helpful in hearing all of your perspectives. And I hope the people watching this feel like that too, because it's definitely helped me a lot get through a hard time.
It's wonderful to see you here. I hope everything's okay and you have a blessed week, my friend.
Thank you. All of you as well. Take care.
Bye-bye.
I wonder if that political figure realizes that most of learning in life comes outside of the classroom.
Yep.
And I am delighted to see the young people of our land merging with the older people like me and moving in the same direction and understanding that our nation was founded upon the kind of principles that allowed us to rise from nothing to the pinnacle of the world in record time. That was no accident. That was because of what we believed, including our Judeo-Christian beliefs, that our rights come from our Creator and not from government. Now, for many decades, there have been people who are trying to fundamentally change who we are. And there was a man by the name of Cleon Skousen who wrote a book called The Naked Communist in the 50s. And he exposed the things that were being done by the Marxists to gain.
I think Gothics likes that book.
I have been recommending that book for like years. You want
I'm
to know what's
glad-
going on? You read that book. It lays it all out.
Absolutely. You do that and listen to a lot of Yuri Bezmenov, and you're going to know where we are and where we're at. I think actually, I don't know if Yuri Bezmenov or the book were able to foresee a situation like this. Would you say? Like a turning point as this? Because Yuri Bezmenov would say that we were in where? The third chapter?
Yeah, well, I only saw that interview that Yuri Bezmenov had, and I don't recall him giving a solution. Whereas the Naked Communist, at least the updated version, it gives you a solution. That solution being you have to turn around and go back towards God,
Yeah.
because there's a reason why Marxists, they go after religion, because they don't want there to be any type of unified morality, because they want to be the moral figures.
Exactly. It's religion is the kryptonite for communism, for any cult. Actually, it's the same reason why Mao. That was the first thing he did. The second thing he did is he went after people's pets. Believe it or not, he said you can't own pets. Your loyalty has to be completely to the state. You can't have any emotional bond with anything else but the state. It would be bourgeois. I love Ben Carson, another brilliant mind.
In control of our country. Such things as gaining control of the public education system and the teacher unions so that you could infiltrate and indoctrinate our young people. It was a radical leftist who said, give me your children to teach for 4 years, and the seed that I sow will never be uprooted. That's what's going on. They also had a goal of gaining control of the media and Hollywood so they could change the culture in America, making sexual perversion normal, natural, and healthy. And speaking of that, pushing God out of our society and changing the gospel to the social gospel. Have you noticed that a lot of preachers don't want to talk about what's in the Bible if it's counter to the social gospel?
Oh my God, we had the priest last week. Not only one, but three who were saying that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. I was like, he's a pastor at the pulpit.
Was he a black pastor?
One was white.
There was one black pastor. I can't remember his name, but if you rewatch the video, his podium literally has a communist fist holding the cross.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Does it?
Oh yeah, you
didn't
gotta
know
find
that's
that.
the podium.
I gotta find that. No, it reminded me of. Do you remember the preacher who Obama went to right when he was campaigning, and he was like, "GD America." You know what I'm talking. When Obama was campaigning,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was the guy who was cursing up and down. They're like, "This is the end of Obama's campaign. How is he going to explain it?" Because he said, "I've been going to this church in Chicago for 20 years," and the guy was like cursing America up and down. He said it was. What was it called? It was called liberation theology. Liberation theology. But yeah, I saw pastors going nuts. I'm like, how are you a man of God?
Because
you're condoning murder.
No, they're called they're false prophets, man.
Yeah, false prophets. No better way to put it. False prophets. I'm gonna find that what you were talking about.
I'm looking for it right now.
You know, if Dr. Ben Carson just had a little bit of anima, a little bit of spirit, he would be able to rally millions. He's so insightful, so sharp. If he had a little bit of that, for lack of a better word, Trumpism,
Charisma is the word you're looking for.
It's not charisma. He's not animated. He has no. It's like, come on, a little bit. But I love
Well, he's also a man of science, so they're
I
usually
know.
not the most charismatic normally.
No, but I remember when he was running for the nomination the first time around. It's like I love listening to him. It's just, yeah, just need a little bit of spark. We'll go back to Dr. Ben Carson.
Well, I challenge the ministers out there to talk about what the Bible says and not what the leftists say. And get on board of the revival that is coming.
Oh, yeah.
We are not going to be able to stop it. You see evidence of it right here in the stadium. We're all going to be a part of it. I love the fact that Erica is going to take over, and we're going to grow the Turning Point to a very significant level. And I want us all to remember, you cannot be the land of the free if you're not the home of the brave. You got to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah.
And in closing, I want to read a passage from John 12:24, remembering that Charlie was shot at 12:24 p.m. Verily, verily, I say unto you, this is Christ speaking, except a corn of wheat fall onto the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. And I want to thank Charlie for his sacrifice, because much fruit is going to be realized. Thank you.
God bless him. He's a brilliant man. Brilliant man. I got that from you. You got booted. I had my YouTube channel. It shut down. I had to reload it. I thought maybe it had actually. Yeah, there's something crazy going on. There's something crazy going on. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody who's sending support to the channel. I can't do this without you. Bless you. I'm going to read it at the end of the stream just so I don't interrupt everything. I never do that. I always respond to you directly. If you have a question directly, just like tell Istophobos or tell Eric K if it's something pertaining to what we're talking about, and I will grab that specific one for this moment if it's something that we're talking about. Otherwise, for the first time, I will read them at the end. And thank you, everybody who's been gifting memberships. And thank you, Jim Alaska. Bless you, my friend. Yeah, I think this is important, what's going on. We are, at, for lack of a better word, a turning point. And I love the way everyone's coming together. I think a lot of things changed when, maybe people will disagree with me, when we started having no-fault divorce. Ron, would you say that, I mean, that was another point that started breaking the family? Because everybody could go, hey, the grass is greener on the other side. I don't have to talk to my rabbi. I don't have to talk to my priest. I don't have to mess around with the court. We just want to get divorced.
I think that is a waypoint, an identifiable point along the way. I think that probably my father, of blessed memory, said something that my wife always reminds me of, that he thought that the turning point was actually the pill.
The pill, okay.
The change in in responsibility for your actions, for sexual relations. I mean, there are so many way stations like that. At the end of the day, how relevant is divorce in a world where people don't get married? People have families with children in them. The parents don't get married. Oh yeah, this is my fiance. Oh really? Congratulations. When are you getting married? Someday, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you want to say that the undermining of the family is at the heart of it, George, it's hard to disagree with that. But we're moving in such a nihilistic direction. That's the only way you can have this the mentality, the kind of things that we discussed at the beginning of the stream, the people
Yeah, you
feel a
need.
need to not care, and this idea that there are no moral standards, there's no proper way to behave, there's no proper way to dress. It's the kind of depravity that unfortunately builds on itself.
I understand. I think pulling away from God was the first key one. Pulling away from our faith, because that brings us all together. Let's see who is next.
For your job as TPUSA's National
Anna
Hispanic
Paulina.
Outreach Director. Charlie believed with every fiber of his being that the youth of this nation would save it. His fierce patriotism, his unyielding boldness, his prophetic foresight, these were the sparks that lit the path for me on the eve of my departure to medical school to decide to change course and join TPUSA, where I could help Charlie battle the socialist indoctrination on college campuses. The year I spent at TPUSA traveling with Charlie is where I honed my voice in the crucible of politics and ultimately forged the path that led me to Congress. I saw Charlie grow from a young man with conferences of a few hundred people to one of the most powerful men in the world, walking alongside presidents and titans. I saw him grow a beautiful family, all the while remaining a humble leader who quietly raised up others to forward the movement. Today, we honor a patriot whose love of this nation burns as brightly as the founding fathers during the birth of our republic. Like George Washington, who sacrificed his peaceful life at Mount Vernon to lead a militia and a small army against the mightiest empire on earth, risking everything, his fortune, his family, his very life, to secure liberty for generations unborn, Charlie poured out his youth, his energy, and his unshakable resolve to awaken America's youth from the slumber of complacency and to mobilize millions this past election cycle to reclaim the principles of truth and self-governance that define our exceptional nation. His name will stand etched in the history besides the likes of JFK, who boldly challenged a generation to ask what they could do for their country amid the shadows of the Cold War, and Dr. King, who marched into the jaws of hatred, sacrificing his safety and ultimately his life to bend the arc of history towards justice. These giants, Washington forging a new nation from revolution, JFK inspiring the innovation and resolve, and MLK redeeming it through moral courage, changed the outcome of eras, just as Charlie altered the trajectory of our modern fight against cultural decay and ideological tyranny. He didn't just speak of patriotism, he lived it, giving everything to ignite a movement that turned the tide for conservatism, empowering young voices to challenge the status quo and to secure a brighter future for America. And as I stand here today, looking at thousands of young people in this crowd, I realize that Charlie's vision is ablaze in every single one of you, the generation that he entrusted to restore the soul of this nation. So I ask you, will you live boldly as Charlie did? Will you rise to the challenge as Charlie did? Will you speak truth without fear as Charlie did? And will you pray with unwavering faith as Charlie did? If one man can awaken a generation and save a nation, imagine what 10,000 can do. And we are all Charlie Kirk now, and his legacy has just begun.
We are.
God bless all of you and these great United States of America. Thank you.
Yeah, we are. We are Charlie Kirk. That's a powerful message. I've seen it. Did you see in Beverly Hills Gothics how they flooded the streets last week?
No.
I was like, in Beverly Hills of all places. I was like,
Wow, that's surprising. Well,
I was stunned.
Beverly Hills is actually, from my experience going there, it's very conservative.
Really?
It's more conservative, I think, than like West Hollywood.
Okay.
But that's just me.
I didn't know that.
I'm a visitor. I could be wrong.
Right. No, I didn't know that. When I saw it, I was like watching everybody come out. They held prayer vigils. I saw the local, I think it was called KR9 or something. There were like a couple hundred people showed up. I'm like, there's like thousands there. What are you talking about?
They always try to minimize it. I sent that woke pastor if you wanted to
I
take
got
a
it.
look at it.
I'm about to play it. This is it.
Look at his podium.
Hallelujah. See, Moses didn't let people go, but some of the people were holding on to Pharaoh.
Yeah, let's see this.
God, help me in here. I'm concerned about all of these Negro preachers who've been, in fact, talking about that this man that was killed was the answer to Christ in the earth. Y'all ain't saying that. They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charles and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing else in common.
He has no shame at all. None.
Who's
So he doesn't believe in God. There's no way you can stand on the pulpit of a church and lie to hundreds of people and thousands of people through a broadcast and believe in God.
People like that. My favorite question to ask them are you Christian first or are you black first? And they always fumble because they don't know how to answer it.
He is a Democrat first.
There's an echo. Are y'all hearing?
I do. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I hear it. Yep.
Does somebody have an extra tab open?
No.
Hello.
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 Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, maybe it's Ron. It's Ron.
Oh. Nope. It's Ron.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was you. It's okay. It was Ron. Ron is echoing, so mostly. Yeah. I think we're going to watch a little bit of Jack Posobiec, and then we will wrap it up because I just checked. It's supposed to go for 6 hours.
Oh, yeah. I got to go.
Yeah. We're going to watch one thing, and then we're calling it for the day. Everybody, moderators, if you can put out the links. I thought they were going to have President Trump early, but he's, by what I can tell, he's not scheduled to come on for another hour.
Woo!
Yeah, they have a long, because they have Marco Rubio, they got the VP, and then, one at a time. And I really wanted to hear the beginning messages to bring everybody together to share what we think about it. And just the fact that you have the president of the United States, the vice president, everyone, and all the people outside. If you could see the cameras, I had a link a second ago. Everyone outside, they pour in their hearts out. They're there for him. Charlie Kirk, like I said, he lives. His body may not be here, but his spirit is here. They didn't kill him. They didn't kill him.
Please, Kirk.
Charlie Kirk was my friend. Charlie was my brother. And Charlie was my commanding officer. And we will never, ever let the left, the media, or the Democrats forget the name of Charlie Kirk. The Bible, we'll get there. Hold on, we'll get there. The Bible tells us that on his last day, Moses climbed to the top of the mountain and he looked across the River Jordan and he saw the promised land. He led the people there, but he did not cross himself, for he was taken and he died on that mountain and he was brought to God's kingdom. On his last day, Charlie Kirk was on the top of a mountain, and Charlie Kirk led us there, and Charlie Kirk has brought us to the promised land. Charlie's death was not just a murder. The true word for what Charlie did is sacrifice. You see, the difference between murder and sacrifice is that sacrifice is a gift. Sacrifice is that last full measure of devotion for God, for country, and for his people, and for his family. Charlie Kirk died for all of you. And Charlie Kirk's gift of his sacrifice means that Charlie Kirk will live forever, not just for all of us, not just for his family and Erica and for his children, but for all future generations of Americans. And the question of our time: will Western civilization endure? Or will it fracture in two, like so many predict? Well, I say to you that a century from now, when they write of the 2 or 3 pivotal moments that led to the saving of Western civilization, they will write that the sacrifice of Charles James Kirk was the turning point. And the ugliness that was been revealed by Charlie's murder will be and is already being overcome by the beauty of the outpouring of love and prayer around the world. Seas of 1,000 candles that have been lit from coast to coast for Charlie's sacrifice for all of us. We will overcome their evil. And Charlie's sacrifice has given us all, and I see it in your eyes, I see it in the eyes of every man, woman, and child who has come to me since this unspeakable evil happened. We have it now. Charlie gave it to us. He gave us that last bit of courage, that last bit of fight, that last bit of grit and resolve to say no more. We are done. We are done with all of it, and we will now stand and fight, because if you took Charlie Kirk off that line, then every single one of us will rise up and we will replace that line, and we will be there and we will remind them what they did for Charlie, what they did to Charlie, and we will never, ever let them forget the name Charlie Kirk. Our civilization will endure. The United States of America will endure. For Charlie, we will continue the mission. For Charlie, we will end the evil disease that split us and took Charlie from us. And for Charlie, Turning Point USA will last forever. And we will come to find that in the final moment, that Western civilization was saved through Charlie's sacrifice in the only way possible, by returning the people to Almighty God. For greater love hath no man than this, than he who laid down his life for his friends. Are you ready to continue the mission? Are you ready to fight back? And are you ready to put on the full armor of God and face the evil in high places and the spiritual warfare before us? Then put on the full armor of God. Do it now. Now is the time. This is the place. This is the turning point for Charlie. God bless to all of you. God bless to everyone, to Charlie's family, to all the families. And Charlie, till we meet again, brother.
Oh, there's President Trump. I'm just wondering if he was going to go next, but I don't think so. That was beautiful. I didn't know that Posobiec and him were that close. It felt like they were, amen. It felt like they were very close. Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good by Jack. I mean, I don't think public speaking is really his forte, but I think he did a great job, and he made, his passion was obviously very real.
Yeah, it was obvious. Definitely. All right, I'm going to, if y'all need to go, I appreciate you. Bless you all for coming here today to share this. I'm going to read through the super chats and then wrap it up. If
All right,
y'all
guys.
want to stay, you can stay. Thank you, Ron.
Catch you
I'm
later.
gonna
guys.
head out.
Okay, thank you, Gothics. Anything you want to
inviting
share
me.
with anyone? Oh, always. I love having you here. Love your brain. Love your heart. Thank you. Thank you, Gothics.
See you, got this.
All right, we're going to read through these real quick. Wow. It's the Phobos for $2. We are Charlie Kirk. Never forget. We're never forgetting. We're Charlie Kirk, and we're just getting started. Thank you, it's the Phobos. Kisama for $5. The left will never tarnish Charlie's memory. We know who Charlie was. He was a good man of God who believed in the good of the people. Demons go home. Demons go home is right. Make them tremble. Make them shake in their boots. Thank you, Kisama. It's the Phobos for another $5. And no cities burned that night. Only peaceful mourning. They say he wasn't important. Then why did they get him? May 10,000 Charlies rise up from this. Amen. I think it's not just 10,000. I think millions. Again, I have not yet seen them, except for North Korea and China. I have every other nation on this earth. I've seen people step up and say we are Charlie Kirk or mourn him. Thank you, Mr. Phobos. Kasama for another $5. Those who lie to the people are creating monsters. 100%. The thing about monsters is they usually turn on their creators. I'll shed no tears at the time. It is. Exactly. That's why Stalin, Mao, Castro, they always would go back and get rid of the people who helped get them into power because it was inevitable that their fantasies wouldn't come true and they'd turn into enemies. It's the Phobos gifted one Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, my brother from another mother. I really appreciate it. I hope whoever got that thanked this to Phobos. I didn't want to interrupt all the conversations nor the service, but I appreciate it. Butter framed in gold for $5. So does being an atheist make you a narcissist, or does being a narcissist make you an atheist? Which comes first? Dante, want to take that one?
I you know what, man? They go hand in hand.
There you go. I agree.
I mean, to not believe in God means you believe in yourself, right? Which you worship yourself. You are the most important.
Well said. Eric Heffelfinger for $10. If they thought TP was a problem with Charlie in charge, then hell has no fury like a woman scorned, or the wars men will go to for her. That's why I said, first of all, spot on. Erica stated it perfectly. Evildoers do not have any idea what they have done. And once the trial starts, I think it's going to get even worse. Because, they're going to go into discovery. They're going to find out more about his mindset. It's going to be interesting times. Eric K for $5. Any person involved in sterilizing a child and making them trans needs to be put in jail for life. Teachers, doctors, parents, public officials, anyone. Charlie, do you know how many people, if you go look up how many people who detransitioned thank Charlie? How many kids from college? They would go up to him and thank him. They're like, I was first angry at you, then I was lost, then I was confused. But Charlie Kirk helped them out. And then they guided them. Then they detransitioned, found their way back. Magnum Norse for $10. Yes, only love creates, but there comes a time when deconstruction is necessary. And we've met that point because there's too many indoctrinated people inside many. 100% absolutely believe that. That's why I said love creates, hate repels. Their hate, they want to spread to destroy everything. These aren't people like we used to have. Verbal and I grew up in this. We used to have Democrats, Republicans, left, right, but it was different. It was two different ideas wanting to better America, two different ways. It wasn't one wants to destroy the country and one wants to turn everybody into slaves.
Right, because it's not till to one party got hijacked basically by radicals, and for some reason, the people who are still a part of it either don't acknowledge it or maybe now they're just starting to realize.
I think this is waking up a lot of people who are liberal. A lot of people. Alpha Omega for $5. Any of you catch Mitokor's stream? Was weird hearing Jim cry. He was so fired up. He gave a fantastic speech about victory and declared war on the left. No, I haven't, but I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to go check it out today. Did you hear that? Mitokor's stream? I heard Destiny is gone finally after he asked for violence, that every conservative should be killed.
Yeah. Okay. So now what about Hassan?
He should be gone too, but he went on Australia Sky News and was saying, that was hyperbole what I was saying. It was for dramatic effect. Everybody who has a brain can understand that was just for color commentary. Color commentary. He called for the left to grab everybody's guts. Get in there, slice them and dice them. But he says that's just color commentary. Exaggeration to tell a story. Yeah. Thank you, Alpha Omega. Kelly Wynn became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Kelly Wynn. I can't wait to meet you and see you at the next member stream. Mexican Ironman for $5. Everyone should love and be loved like that scene. Oh, he's talking about where we saw Erica, Kirk, and Charlie when he got engaged. Yeah, it was beautiful. Damn, I think there's a Mexican crying in the chat. I was crying in my heart here, trying to hold it back. John Posey for $20. I know of everyone on the panel today from other streams, but I love it when George brings this group together. Thank you all for being there for everyone in these troubled times and for continuing the conversation. Thank you and bless you. I really appreciate that. These are wonderful people, wonderful human beings. Nobody better than to spend it with during such times. Sean the artist, formerly known as John Cusick, for $2. The Culminator, always insightful and present. He is. Ron Coleman is light in the darkness, most definitely. Butter Framed in Gold gifted 5 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. I greatly appreciate from you, sir. And I hope everybody has gone to thank Butter Framed in Gold. It's really important. It brings us together, grows the channel, gets more of your voices out there, and I get to meet more amazing people. Thank you. And then Jim Alaska, one of my very first friends that I ever met because of YouTube, gifted 20 Georgia Giant Slayer members. I hope everybody who got a membership for him, please thank him. He's got a wonderful soul, beautiful heart. Thank you, Jim. I hope everything's going well with you. We also got John Maynard for $20. I think Charlie's main statement would have been, I am a disciple of Christ. I have been called to declare his word among his people that they may have everlasting life. Straight to the point. Beautifully said. For me, I've always I've believed in so many different verses from the Bible. I pulled one up, which is always with me. It's Deuteronomy 31:6. That's my favorite from the New King James Version. It's like, be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is the one who is with thee always. He will not abandon thee or desert thee ever. Thank you all for being here today. It was my hope we could do this together. Going to have more news as we discovered what happened with Charlie Kirk. Whoever was behind, if anyone was behind it, with the man whose name I don't want to mention when the trial comes up. We're going to continue to cover this because it's important. I do not want to drop this just because we've had the memorial. We're going to keep going, keep his memory alive, keep his message and mission moving forward. You have anything you want to add, Verbal?
Yeah, man. I think that right now, like I said, the country is at a tipping point, and we got to just kind of figure out what we're going to do from here on, because, you know, neither side is really going to let up. And I think we can't expect crazy to all of a sudden become sane, right? So,
good point.
You know, I would advise, though, those on the left who, you know, who are seeing their party just be completely hijacked, man, start thinking about, you know, I'm not saying go to the right. I'm saying become like me, man. Just put yourself like away from everything and just use your common sense, man.
Just think. How about
Just
critically think? Don't cause harm to others. That's a good place to start. Do not harm others.
Use your common sense and stop backing these crazy people just because they're on your team.
Yeah. I think maybe that the worst part that ever happened is when politics turned into football for some people. You know, they didn't care what happened as long as their team won.
Yeah, and honestly, both sides are guilty of that. But
everybody is. I said that's for all politics.
But again, you know, this isn't sports, man. You know, this is real life, and people gotta figure their shit out.
Absolutely. If you haven't, please go subscribe to Verbal Right. Are you going to do anything tonight or this week that you want to share?
Nothing planned yet, but most likely, you know, I'll do my show Thursday. I'm probably going to get back into entertainment because for the past couple of weeks, it's been too much, you know, of this stuff, basically, you know, and
gotcha.
And rightfully so. I mean, this is important stuff, but I just feel like it could be kind of soul sucking, you know?
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. Thank you for that. Go, everybody who was on the panel, please go subscribe to them. Go support them. Amazing, beautiful people. Thanks to everybody who gave the support to keep the lights on, memberships, super chats, our incredible mods, Lord Thoth, Eric K, Istophobos, and we had a new one today. Ron became a mod. Thank you all coming together. I couldn't have imagined it sharing this with anyone else. I wish you all a blessed day. Love you. Remember, we're fighters with one unbreakable rule. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. It's always forward. And now we are Charlie Kirk, and we ain't going anywhere. Love you.